good because I already set it up.
Hello and welcome to the Friday Night Social with me, Graham Hughes. We're also joined by Mikey Famine. We've got Mike Dix in the house. We've got Wayne Lynch. We've got Tansky, Super Tansky. And we've got Scott Williams as well. Hello to everyone. Hello watching at home. We've got Gunny in the chat. We've got Anne Phillips. We've got Chrissy. We've got Paul Ewan, who's already put a super chat in. Amazing. Thank you. Graham for the swear jar. Ah, brilliant. Can we just leave it 5 minutes before we start swearing? Just this once. Just to get over that line. If Tan is joining, we'll need a bigger swear jar, says Tansy.
Why is it everyone's taking the swearing thing from me? I thought that was my thing.
I just want to say, as a group, we have a lot of leverage right now because he wants us to not swear for 5 minutes. What's in it for us, Graham? What are you offering?
What are you going to give us, you?
The blowies in the post.
The blowies in the post. Wicked.
So anyway, so it's been another a mad week. Every day feels like a week. But today, I was going to talk first of all about Canada telling America to piss off.
Oh, Canada.
But can we talk about Greenland first? Tell us about Greenland.
Just say
what's Greenland been
the
up
first
to?
person to swear tonight was Graham. Can I just point that out?
What? What did I say?
Well, I mean,
like
you might be quoting Canada there, but you did just say piss off.
Yeah, the piss isn't a swear word. It's in the Bible.
Yes, it is.
It's in the Bible. How can it be a swear word when it's in the Bible?
It's in the Bible.
It is in the Bible.
Right,
It is in the bloody Bible.
You go on breakfast radio and say that word.
What?
Yeah,
If I read...
Better still, go on Thought for the Day and say, and
Yeah.
then Jesus said to the disciples, piss off.
He said, pisseth against the wall. There you go.
Jesus.
Yes, pisseth.
Pisseth.
That's pisseth.
No,
Yeah,
okay.
This
that's
is
a common trait.
this is from the King James Bible, King James version, right? This is
Who reads that?
it's from 1 Samuel 25. So and more
1 Samuel.
also unto God, unto the enemies of David, if I leave all that pertain to him by the morning light, any that pisseth against the wall.
Right.
Oh, Graham,
right.
don't
Can we-
start to
Is
say-
anyone worried that Graham can quote from the Bible just like that?
Yeah, it's a little bit weird. But
Yeah.
great. The only time that word is acceptable is if you're French and you're going swimming. Okay?
Yes. 1 Kings 14. Jeroboam,
Jesus.
Jeroboam,
Jesus
him that
Christ.
pisseth
You don't
against
even
the
know how to
wall.
read the books properly.
Graham,
You
I'm
don't even
gonna
know their
say-
titles.
On fire.
Golly, you sound like
Oh.
Trump.
Okay,
2
all right, even better.
Corinthians.
Two Corinthians.
Even better. Okay, Isaiah chapter 36,
Oh
verse
my God.
12.
It.
Hath my master
Welcome
sent me to thy master to speak these words? Hath he not sent me the men who spit on the
is
wall?
Is this
You
a
know
Sunday
That
morning
may
sermon?
eat their own dung and drink their own piss with you. That's in the
You know what's-
fucking Bible.
Yeah,
Why
I
do
think-
you
know
read
what-
it
Oh, you
before
swore
start?
again. You swore
God.
again.
Is that in the Bible too?
You asked
Is that in
for
8
5
Corinthians?
We got another
Yeah,
super chat in. We got another super chat in.
yourself.
We don't even need to dog walk you
We got a
into
super
this.
chat in from Paul
Right.
Ewan, £2 super chat. Bloody
Thank
hell,
God for
Wayne and
Paul.
Tan have some more cash, apparently. Do you have some more cash?
You're welcome, Graham. We're
Yeah,
Stimulating the
thank
economy.
you. And Alex says cock piss partridge.
cook past Babtridge. Actually, I think you're.
Every time I see a swastika and someone's graffitied a cock on the side of it, I just think of Alan Partridge now.
He's
Yeah,
just
me
going for the
too.
whole gusto today.
Mikey, are you aware of the work of Alan Partridge?
Oh, yeah, who isn't? He's my favorite. He's my favorite painter. I mean,
He was on.
He's up there with Bob Ross.
He was on the
Yeah, he's-
Daily Show this week.
painting?
Being cr-
That's
He was
weird.
being creeped to on the Daily Show. Quite.
Who was this? Picasso. What? Where are we?
Alan
Alan Partridge.
Partridge's alter ego was on.
Sorry, I wasn't listening. I was like,
Mr. Coogan.
In my own little world. But yeah, so let's talk about Greenland for a moment. So Greenland is a dependency, is it, or a sovereign territory of Denmark?
Territory.
Yep.
Sovereign territory of Denmark, but semi-autonomous territory of Denmark. It's not part of the EU. It used to be, but then it voted out. Sounds familiar. And interestingly enough, so this guy today, this vice president, went with his beard. His wife came as well, and he basically said that Denmark was neglecting Greenland. And as someone who has been to Guam, Northern Mariana Islands, American Samoa, the US Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico, I think that's a bit fucking rich, talking about neglecting your overseas possessions there, America. Mikey, what do you think?
Sorry, Graham, was a bit late with the sponsorship section.
Oh, thanks very much. Man of the world.
You're
2
all
laughs
thumbs
or your
today,
money
Mike.
back. Anyway, Mikey.
I mean, this is the moment that I've been calling for. Everyone needs to put in sanctions on America. Like, you need to suffocate him. Like, he needs don't give him any quarter.
Well,
You know what I mean? Like, everybody should be everyone should be rejecting him at his face, at face value, without any exceptions. Without, we'll have a talk and you can come talk to the king and have. No, you get nothing, you tyrant. But if you placate a tyrant, he's just going to keep doing tyrant shit.
Yeah,
That's what Germany have said about
anyway.
the tariffs.
But he's going to do it anyway. He's just completely screwed our spring statement in one step with his mad tariffs to deflect from Signalgate.
Yep.
So, you know, we're not going to win either way, but I do find it pretty galling that, you know, our Prime Minister, who has lost all moral integrity, since went over and arse licked him. It was disgusting to watch it. And
he did give him a letter that he couldn't read because he's so stupid he can't actually read.
Well, yeah, I mean, he knew the signature. Well done. It's just so bizarre. It's so weird that we've got this absolute penis, just this insane penis, just running one of the most powerful countries in the world. And you live there, man. It must be a million times worse for you. We're just watching in horror.
Yeah.
Like Edvard Munch's The Scream. Just like
And the thing is, like, everyone's trying to do this. Well, it's not going to get that bad. Surely somebody will stop this. So, all these other countries capitulating to him, just understand he's coming for you next. He doesn't do small steps. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why they're throwing everything they can at the wall to see what'll stick. And I mean, going for the American veterans was probably a bad call. Going after their mental health coverage and all of their prescriptions and closing the VAs. Pain is pain, brother. And if you're inflicting pain on people and it's that, like, you know, neuropathy, bone kind of like deep ache that people get from being sick, and you take their painkillers away, hey, man.
Yeah, I can vouch for the fact that I would buy a gun if they took my morphine off me at the moment.
That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, you take people off of stuff and then you want them to just go work at Amazon? Okay. Yeah. Good luck with that. Well, it's not going to happen.
I just watched that show. It's a film where a guy he was a veteran, and they cancelled his VA, and he went and robbed a bank. I think it was 2017. And they basically ruined him. So he just went, "I'm going to go and rob a bank then." And then they took him out. It's a true, well, based on a true story. I can't remember the name of the guy, but
John Q. Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
Well,
I thought you were talking about that film where that man made, or that program. I never watched it. Everyone watched it. It was about a fella.
Game of Thrones.
No.
Breaking Bad
documentary.
Lord of the Rings. Is it Lord of the Rings?
Will you stop interrupting me like a bunch of men, please?
Sorry, Tam.
I'm trying to badly finish a point here. So he made
Scott,
load of meth.
Stop it.
He made load of meth or something. What was it called?
Breaking Bad.
That's it. I don't know what.
Now you want us to talk. Now you want us to.
Yeah. When we're trying to finish your point.
Well, you interrupted me so many flipping times.
Oh, nearly 10.
Yeah, it's all right. Graham's already said fuck many times. What?
Oh!
No, I haven't. I said piss. I said
no,
cock,
you've said
piss,
the F word twice.
No,
I counted
fucking
Yeah,
didn't.
you did. You did,
You
though.
did.
You bunch of lying fuckers.
You did
There
it.
you go. There's another
You
one.
did it. You did it in stride without even slowing down. And we're
You
like,
know, I'm gonna get a pen and a pad, and I'm gonna keep score.
Okay, so interesting thing though. So the US has never, ever, ever had a colony in Greenland. It's never colonized Greenland. It's got a base there, but it's never colonized Greenland. However,
it has a base there for now until they get told to leave.
yeah. However, Denmark colonized the island of St. Thomas and a couple of other islands in what's now the US Virgin Islands for about 300 years. In fact, they only sold St. Thomas to the Americans in 1917. It's one of the reasons why they drive on the left in St. Thomas, even though they've got left-hand drive cars.
1917 or
1917. 1917. They sold it for about the equivalent of about $500 million these days. It wasn't
They
that
drive
much.
on the left. They sound very sensible.
They
people.
drive on the left, but they're also left-hand drive cars. So it makes
that's wrong.
overtaking very, very tricky on the island of St. Thomas.
Don't do it.
But I think
We have-
You live in St. Thomas. Take your time. It's fucking beautiful. Everywhere you look is like a picture. So just slow down. No need to overtake. Relax.
second highest
Stand-
murder rate in the world.
Yeah, from tourists coming there.
No, from Americans. Because it's all Americans. And they're crazy.
That would make them tourists.
The heat makes them
No.
go crazy. And they're all tooled up, being all crazy. Anyway,
Like cruise ships.
I think
It's an American.
that
Is it an American dependency? Is it like they
it's
own
an
it?
overseas
America?
sovereign territory.
Right.
Or something like that. Anyway, it's I think that Denmark should take it back over. Because America hasn't done a very good job with it.
Well, arguably, didn't the Danes discover America long before Columbus anyway?
Yes.
Didn't they,
Yes.
they had a
you reckon
settlement in
Denmark
Newfoundland, didn't
has
they?
a claim over the whole of North America.
I think so.
That'd be really funny. If, like, at the last minute, Canada turns around and they go, and then the Danes are just there, dressed as Vikings.
There's a
haunting
great
their
little
lands.
British feature film, isn't there? A British type feature film with like 15 mercenary Greenlanders taking on America, invading New York.
Yes. We should do it. We should make it. Jason takes
It's a perfect
Manhattan,
little film.
but he
Yeah,
doesn't
like
spend
Dad's
all the time-
Army.
Yeah.
Perfect movie.
They just go out taking out Americans.
Yeah.
And then basically once they get caught for killing all these Americans, the Americans say, "Oh no, it's okay because we like it when you kill Americans. It's what we normally do." And they have a party, and everyone drinks JD and Coke. Simon J. Worrell, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Politics: the art of governing mankind by deceiving them. Apparently, that's a quote by Benjamin Disraeli. And Ivan Ambrose in the chat, thank you very much for the £5. Greenland is Greenland. Denmark should let the US should let go, and the Denmark should let go, and the US should keep away. Well, it depends what the people of Greenland want. I did a big spiel about this the other day. Like, you got to ask people what they want.
Hi.
Hi.
They can. They're entitled to
I'm
have a
back.
referendum whenever they want, don't they?
Oh, hang
I
on.
am?
Yes, you need to turn
Hello,
your video
Scott.
back on. Turn it off and on again.
I tried to, and it says the host has stopped.
Oh no!
Yeah,
I feel
mine's gone
really
as well.
bad now.
Mine's gone as well.
Unable
wow.
to start video. You can't start
No,
video.
sadly,
because the
Wayne.
host
Sadly, Wayne. We can
has
still
stopped
see
it.
you.
There you go.
has asked you to
Yeah,
start
I
your
can't-
video.
There you
I
go.
see
There you go.
you.
You're back. You're back in the house. Yay! We got you.
I'm sorry, that was my friend who's coming over.
Okay.
He's calling me. He's like, oh, you don't have to be up to you have to be up early. So let's just catch up now over the phone. I was like, well, no, we can't really do that. Sorry, because I'm talking to people online.
Oh
I gotta go.
no!
And he's sitting there going, oh. And I'm like, you're gonna be here. It doesn't matter. I'm like, stop. I'm like,
The
anyway.
number of times this happens during news night.
And I just want to share over on the Bin podcast chat. We have Vic Stryker in the chat says Wayne is a git.
Oh, cheers. Yeah.
That's a very
Yeah.
nice.
Why
I've got
is
Harry
that?
Flashman
How
saying
right he is.
Harry Flashman in the chat saying the mouse that roared, which is an old Peter Sellers film in which a little island nation
superb.
accidentally wins a war against America.
So
Superb.
Greenland.
Yes,
Trump
well,
wants
they,
it.
they start a war thinking they will lose, and America will come and give them all reparations because the government's bankrupt, and they accidentally win
What?
through a series of
That's
escapades.
That's the movie. That we just steal that script, remake it.
Yeah, Greenland takes over America.
The Greenland fishing fleet set off to invade New York. It's perfect.
And then we just give it the Michael Bay treatment, where it's in blue and orange filters, and everything
Lens
blows up.
flares.
Yeah.
We got it. We're going to be rich this year.
Yeah.
So
Sorry,
from what I
Will
just
Smith.
gathered over the last 30 seconds is be British, see something you like, copy it, claim it as your own.
Turn it
Sounds
into a
about right.
comedy.
That's
Yeah.
pretty
What
much
you
what
now
America
see
does.
with our
I
films and
think-
teleseries, isn't it?
I'm sorry, yeah, that's
Because no one watches them
what
over there, so they
Americans
come over
do,
here to
like,
make some money.
all the time.
That American show, The Office, is good, isn't it?
Yeah.
You do not even get me started on that.
You know the woman in that.
You got to
who
go
was-
to where the money is. They come over here.
You
I'm
know,
a purist.
the
Gervais is a sellout.
woman in that. Is it Rashida Jones? Is it
Yeah.
in The Office, and she's in Parks and Rec? I found out this evening that she's the daughter of Quincy Jones. I didn't know that. Yeah,
Really?
Quincy Jones, who died on November. It's his daughter.
Oh.
Died on November.
Died on November. Poor old November. This
The
corpse
entire
of
month.
Quincy Jones on
Took
it.
you a
It was
whole month.
very traumatic.
Very
Very
tragic.
long last words. Sexy music.
Clinging onto the side of a building.
We could not pry him off of that piano, let me tell you.
So, Mikey, have you had a chat with your friend Ollie over in Canada since Mark Carney said it's over last night?
No, but I talked to him last night.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah. Have you spoken to him?
We were on the show. We had a show last night, but that happened like this morning, I guess. So
Okay.
no, I haven't talked to him since.
Oh, okay.
But Ollie's, I mean, it's for a normal American and a normal Canadian. We're both just like looking at the news, like, what is wrong with y'all? Like, what is this? And you can't, as an American, you can't blame Canada, right? It's
Yeah.
not their fault that this asshole is trying to tank their economy and trying to bully them into doing things that they're already doing. Like, it's the whole, like, when you lie, usually you have to tell more lies to cover up the original lie. So all of this caper is just so that they don't have to raise the debt ceiling and tell the American voters that they want to give away another $4 trillion to millionaires and billionaires. That's what all of this is. This is all a means to an end so that they can get those tax cuts.
And the tax cuts are going to be for anyone earning, over $320,000 a year,
Yeah.
and anyone beneath that threshold, their taxes are going to go up.
Right.
And the vast majority, 99% of the people who voted for Trump, would be under that threshold.
And then there's like, oh, well, I'm right on the cusp, and then I'll be up there, and then I'll get the tax. It's like, you will never get there. This whole system is designed to keep you exactly where you are.
Yeah.
Or into every time you get an increase, it's going to extract that increase as well. It is designed to take everything that you have so that at the end of the day, they have all of your poker chips and you have nothing. And
Right.
until people understand that it's time to flip the table over, this is where we're going to be.
What is it that saying where it's America's full of permanently frustrated millionaires?
Mm.
Yeah,
Where
temporarily embarrassed millionaires.
yeah, that's it. Sorry.
That's the American dream that's been sold to them for decades, isn't it?
Yes.
You're sold
You
to-
should
you're
vote for
sold it every day.
big tax cuts for millionaires because one day you'll be a millionaire, won't
Yeah,
you?
and that's why
the-
the con men are so
Yeah,
effective at what they do. You know, telling people bullshit dreams of becoming rich through crypto. Financial people who go online, they make earn $10,000 a week. Well, yeah, because loads of people watch their videos. They don't earn it by being like clever at finance. and
It's the
stuff.
Patreon money that's keeping them afloat.
Yeah.
Right. But they don't see that it's a grift. And like the American dream thing, it's not to be like rich. It's to have your own house with, like a 2-car garage, maybe like a backyard so that your kid can play around in or something like that. A dog. Like that's what just something that seems relatively basic.
Yeah.
But
But it's unaffordable for the under 30s nowadays. It's not something they can achieve.
But that's
life. Yeah.
But that is exactly what they voted for, was to make what is already an impossible situation so much worse, just because he said, I'm going to make your groceries cheaper. I'm going to make your gas cheaper. So in their head, they're doing like the kitchen table math. Hold on, Mike. They're doing the kitchen table math, and they want to say, okay, if he does what he says he does, I'm going to get like $300 extra a month, and then that $300 a month, we won't be so stressed out on bills.
Yeah.
But none of that's going to happen, and it's going to be the opposite. So the original problem is still going to be there, and then all of this shit that's about to kick in is just going to make it worse. It's just going to make it worse, and that's not going to go well for him.
What do you think is going to happen then?
In terms of Liberty Day, what's going to happen on Liberty Day, Mikey?
How do you think people are going to react to it? I mean, is like
Liberty Day is going to be a disaster. The stock market is going to plummet. People's 401ks are going to dry up. And I think there's going to be real consequences for Republicans, and they're going to probably start beefing up security and all that stuff. This is not going to go well for him.
Mikey,
like I have been sounding the alarm. I've been sounding the alarm, but no one, you know what I mean? But you're just yelling into a hurricane at this point. They're not listening. And it's like, this is not, you do not want these people desperate. You know what I mean? You do not want them bereft of need. Yes, sir.
Can you just quickly explain what a 401k is to our British viewers who might not
I was
know?
about to ask that same question.
So 401k, yeah, it's kind of like a private pension kind of thing. And you kind of pay into it through your employer. And like they'll take, $100 a week or every paycheck or whatever it is. And then it takes that money and then they put it in a fund and invest it. And it's supposed to get you a higher percentage yield than if you would just, leave it in a regular bank.
Can it be withdrawn early?
Yeah, but there's penalties.
Right.
So if you take it out early, they might take more of it.
Could there be a situation where people panic, start trying to withdraw it and shit like that, do you think? Like,
there ain't going to be nothing there to grab.
Yeah, so it's basically like our work-based pension contributions, like where our employer pays in and we pay in at the same time.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to figure out is just basically how far away you think there will be from some form of civil war, really, or like people kicking off on the street and shit. Do you think that will happen?
I think he's going to have a lot of angry people to deal with. I don't know what they're going to do, but I know that it ain't going to be nothing good. The morons thought that they stole the election. Wait till they find out Elon Musk has all their money in his pocket.
Yeah, and data.
Yeah, and you think a couple, like what, 50 Teslas got beat up and spray painted and torched? You think that's bad, brother? You think you're hiding now? Okay. Look, I'm just the messenger. He can be as dictatorial and as tyrannical as he wants to be, the both of them. That comes with a price. Are you willing to pay that price?
I mean, there's even protests this weekend, is it this weekend or next weekend? Like all over Britain at Tesla.
Tomorrow? It's tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. There's about 10 different locations where people are like kicking off in Britain at him. People hate him here.
It's not going to be a protest thing. It's going to be where is he?
Did you see?
I know how to stop my problem. Where is he? They're going to be looking for him.
Good.
Did you see his interview on Fox last night, Mikey? Angry man. It's just coming across as this petulant little tit. Yeah.
He's angry behind 1,000 bodyguards in an undisclosed bunker location. Well, you're gonna have to go outside sometime, buddy, and they're gonna find you. So
they had this ridiculous setup where they had what they called a Doge panel, which was some of the people working for him for Doge, and he let them talk, but then you could see him getting angry with them for not saying the right things. So he's shutting them down.
What?
Then they clear out this panel and he goes one-to-one with Brett What's his face and gets these softball questions and comes across as he was asked about is it Mark Kelly? I can't remember the name of the senator astronaut that he called a traitor. Yeah, Mark Kelly.
He called him a traitor.
And the guy from Fox is sitting there going, the guy's a ex-military, ex-astronaut, current US senator.
He's a jet pilot.
And Elon Musk is going, anyone that argues in favor of another country instead of America is a traitor.
Wow.
He's just unbelievable, doubling down because he's never, nobody ever questions him about his tweets and makes him explain himself. And for Fox to do it in a softball way and give him an opportunity to say, well, it's just bit of joshing with a senator, basically. No, he doubled down on it and said the guy's a traitor. And
Did you hear Hassan Piker challenged him to a 1v1 in Elden Ring?
Yeah.
really,
Challenging
Oh,
to
yeah.
a what?
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed that.
A 1v1, a 1 versus 1 person duel on Elden Rings, the video game.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant like a duel, like a proper duel, like actually pistols and
Have you seen Hassan Piker? He's like 6'6", and he's like all muscle. So I'd love that. Put that shit on fucking pay-per-view. I'd buy that for $1.
Well,
This is what we've come to, like the stat of like.
I lose track of time. Sorry, Tam, but I lose track of time. How long ago was it that him and Zuckerberg were talking about cage fighting?
Like
but
a year ago.
He pussied out of it. He pussied out of it, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
This
He
was the
ran
thing.
away.
Oh my god, this is so sad. These guys are like, they're just the virgins that no one wanted to.
Yes.
And now
Yes,
we've all got
exactly
to
that.
Pay for it, you know. It's
I
just,
think like at least 7 women tried to fall on the grenade for human society, but apparently it didn't work.
you know,
I love the fact that Elon's daughter has like just absolutely like rinsed him.
Hammering him.
Just like, go away,
oh,
mate.
Vivian. Yeah.
she's a legend. It's Vivian, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Vivian. She did a video this week where he tweeted that saying that his child had died of the woke mind virus, and she did a video where she's like, "I look pretty good for a dead bitch," and flicking her hair around. It's fucking
So
magnificent.
good.
Chef's kiss. If anyone wants to join the Tesla takedown, I'm going to just show the graphic now of all of the dates. This is the times tomorrow. It's at 11 o'clock in London, Leeds, Nottingham, Manchester South, that's in Stockport, Bristol, Winchester, Edinburgh and Glasgow. And at 1 o'clock in Sheffield, there's going to be protests against Tesla. So if you want to just freeze frame your video on there, you'll be able to get the times and the locations. Also, if you are going to go and protest outside a Tesla dealership, and I would have done it, there's a dealership in Newcastle, but unfortunately, all of the Northeast for Europe peeps who would normally be there at something like this, they're going to protest at the Refuck conference, which is taking place this weekend, a mini conference.
Live
It's all going off, isn't it?
Yeah, so there isn't going to be one. But if you are going to go and protest Tesla, be aware that Teslas record everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. They have the most cameras of any electric car or car that is sold. They have cameras on the outside of the cars that activate if you walk too close to one. And that data is uploaded to the cloud. It's being seen by Tesla employees. They have had footage and photographs and sound from people having sex in cars that they've uploaded and shared amongst themselves as Tesla employees. So just be really fucking careful what you do around a Tesla. Perhaps, maybe, just give me a second, Wayne.
Sorry.
Perhaps, maybe think about, not spreading your germs. So, if you put on a COVID.
It's cold and flu season. You should wear a mask.
You should definitely think about protecting your fellow humans from getting any kind of cold.
And your ears.
If you're going anywhere near a Tesla. Okay, right. Who wants to speak? Sorry, Wayne.
Or you could wear it. Can I just
quickly? Let me just quickly interject, Mike, before you go. But you can fool these very sophisticated camera systems with mirrors
and LiDAR
and painting a big, making a big painting of a road.
Just look like a Wile E. Coyote road situation, and then you're fine.
Paint it on the wall.
Actually, it might run you over. Never mind. Don't do that.
Did you hear about that, Tan? Did you hear about that?
What?
So there's this science channel on YouTube, and they do like little
Mark
science
Rober.
things, like Brainiac sort of thing.
Yeah, Mike shared it.
Yeah,
LiDAR.
And it just went straight through a wall. I mean, it didn't know it was made of polystyrene, but
it's perfect.
Like LiDAR.
The guy and Mark
Tesla, like Tesla took out a kid in fog, didn't it?
Yeah.
bright
He
lights.
killed the kid. Killed the kid pretty much every
many
time.
times over.
Well, I shared that story last week about that YouTuber that got killed, like decapitated, whilst driving a Tesla in self-drive mode because the semi that pulled out in front of him had a reflective surface, so the cameras didn't realise that there was a lorry in front of it and just drove straight into the back of it.
God, that's some Final Destination shit, isn't it?
That's terrifying. Gunny, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Is this on Signal? Yes, we've accidentally,
Accidentally
added
enough,
Darren Grimes to the chat.
Oddly enough,
Wotton's like actually like he's got his camera and his mic off. We've accidentally added him to the Zoom. So.
I would love that.
I was about to say I might open up the Signal account just to see if anybody invites me in anywhere. I don't know. Maybe I'll get in. Maybe I won't. But if I can't, I can't make the shot if I don't take the shot.
Mikey,
Okay.
what initials do you share with like not an MP, a senator over there? You might
I don't know if I have any MFs. Oh yeah, so I just come in with like TC. Like, oh, it's Ted Cruz. Let him in.
Put yourself down as bad MF.
Yeah.
We'll just fucking add you because they'll think
BMF.
Graham,
Bam.
can I just do a quick bit of nepotism from the chat? I've just noticed my son, who's in Verona on his very delayed honeymoon, my
Great
youngest
song
son,
by Muse.
is in the chat.
Oh, hello,
Oh,
Obviously, the honeymoon's not going so well.
Callum. How you doing?
He's watching YouTube.
it's all over.
Just getting his breath back. It's all right.
Yeah.
Callum says it's giving that unbearable billionaire character on Friends, played by John Favreau, who wants to become the world's the best cage fighter in the world. Doesn't he? He's dead
God,
rich.
yeah.
And he wants
When
to
he's
be
in
the best cage fighter.
his usually circle of doom.
Yeah.
It's just everything they do is just like a massive VAD repellent. Like it just makes like it makes what I've got going on down there just heel over.
I'm sorry, did you just say veg repellent?
Yeah. I don't understand how they get any sex. I mean, I just don't understand.
They
It's
don't.
money.
They have
They
money.
don't.
They pay for it.
There's a rumor about Elon Musk having a bodged knob job, apparently. Like
Oh, did he have like a
all
bad
these kids are IVF apparently, aren't they?
apparently he had a rod put in it and it's bodged according to like an ex-girlfriend or something.
It doesn't work. He's had to use turkey basters for all of these kids.
Yeah, yeah.
he's
He
artificially
inseminate.
inseminated.
Well,
Like
he's been with his he's been with his wife, hasn't he, since what, about 10 years
he's
now,
got a
something like that?
wife.
Yeah, he's married.
Oh,
Who? Musk.
Zuckerberg.
Purchased one.
Are we talking about
Oh,
Zuckerberg or
Zuckerberg.
Musk?
No, we're
they're-
talking about
they're all-
Musk.
they're
Is
all
the,
the
Oh,
same.
Musk. Sorry, I thought you were
billionaires.
talking about Zuckerberg.
No,
All right,
Musk
no,
Musk
Musk.
is the one with
like-
the faulty equipment.
That would make
Yeah.
sense. I mean, look
yeah,
at him.
apparently he's
not
got like
right,
a
is he?
rod in the thing. But if you think about it, he's going to need a lot of human shields, isn't he? So he has to keep reproducing with the children.
He's gonna
Yeah,
have.
kids.
He's like, come on, this kid's not growing fast enough. He's not covering enough of my body.
Exactly. He's going to have one
Most people-
strap to the front, one strap to the back, one strapped on the shoulders.
Most people say I'm having kids go on to create my own band or my own football team. He's creating his own army. What's
Well,
that about?
He's creating body
Special
armor,
forces.
Yeah.
actual armor. Like
Human shields.
Oh
Am
my
I right?
God. We got a message here from Davy Crockett that's coming. JD Vance, when he was in Greenland today, he was telling the media he didn't know it would be so cold.
I know, isn't that amazing?
Oh, seriously.
It's only the Arctic.
God's like, it's only the
The thing is,
Arctic.
that's the irony. It's,
Do you know-
it's called Greenland, but it's covered in ice.
This
Oh,
could
yeah,
be a
funny,
myth.
Canada's-
This could be a myth, but I
balls outside.
seem to remember that was it the Danish that actually called it Greenland in order to sell real estate on it? Because
If
they
that's
didn't want to
true,
call it frozen,
genius.
bleak, fucking horrible place.
Frozen
basically.
bleak shitland, yeah.
And Iceland was supposed to be really good and cool and groovy, and they didn't want anyone to go there, so they called it Iceland.
There you
That's
go.
why.
No. You can't erase that. Do not put Frostland. No one will come here.
So in that case, Graham, what's the thinking
Finland.
behind Ginger Island?
Well, when I moved there, I was with my girlfriend who was also ginger because I'm not a gingerist. Unlike
Why
someone in the
Tan.
chat.
Tan, can I just say nothing? You've had an afternoon
Wayne,
of
why
this.
did you have to ask that? Because you know how much he hates talking about his island.
Well, I was just going to bring up the funniest thing that happened all afternoon, which was
Graham, you have an island.
Tan thought it'd be funny to have a joke about gingers, and our friend Patty Stevenson, who'd never ever popped into our chat, was like, "What the fuck?"
I was already talking to Patsy in a separate chat about
Bang.
And we were having a chat about various toys, and then we went into the chat, and you said something about being ginger, and I can't remember what it was. No, it was it Michael, was it Graham? One of you said
It
something.
wasn't me. I'm not a gingerist, Tan. You need to own this.
Gingerist.
You definitely started this, and then you backpedaled like mad.
My
Trying to
comment-
list all of the attractive ginger people you've ever met in your life. That's
The Little Mermaid, Jessica Rabbit, Merida from Brave. The list
Prince
goes
Harry.
on. And other fictional characters.
And other
Boy.
fictional characters like
Hold on.
I do love a ginger. I do
Hold
love
on.
a ginger.
Are you saying that Ariel was a ginger? Bro, her head was scarlet. That is not that is not a ginger. Brave, I'll give you. I'm not giving you Ariel.
it kind of counts as red. We call like
ginger.
anything that's
Any
like red
redhead
or-
is a ginge in the UK.
Yeah,
That's a-
redhead is ginger.
She's a hot pepper head. Like
She
not
is.
ginger.
You're right.
Oh, we've
that
got
was-
another
that was like
ginger
a-
guys. Well, we've got
50
Asian
Shades of
My-
Ginge.
Mikey,
Yeah.
she's also a mermaid.
Yeah,
Why do you
she's-
got to bring that up right now? Why do you got to bring that up? Don't
It's
change the
like
subject.
It's like a box's bonnet, mate.
She doesn't have fins for hair. I mean, she's got human hair, so
She lost
It
her
counts.
voice for legs.
She's a fish, mate.
such a pick me.
Such a pick me. You're being gingerist. You're being.
She
What the hell
is. She didn't need
gingerist?
Eric. She didn't need him. He needed her. That's the problem with those
Well,
old Disney movies. You just gotta have the man. I'll do
Yeah.
anything for him. No, he needs to swim his ass down there and drown to show his love, and then you
He-
touch a
he-
magic
he-
shell,
he
and he
need-
comes a mermaid, and
I
it
agree.
all comes
He needs to
together.
grow some fins himself.
Yeah, get
It's a
your ass
dark
down there. Get some
version of the
flippers
film,
on.
though, Mikey. Really?
Can he even swim? Did he even try to meet her dad? He didn't try.
He did.
No,
He
but-
liked it because he liked it because she couldn't speak, and then like in the real.
See?
Oh, here we go.
All
Here we
right,
go.
apparently. Although she could write her name on Ursula's contract, couldn't she? Plot hole.
But
Mm.
And
Hello, my name is
How
Ariel.
do you get ink? Sorry, how do you get ink to go onto paper underwater?
She's
Squid
a
ink.
mermaid,
Squid
and the
ink.
fish were talking and singing. It's
No,
not
don't worry
real,
about that,
Wayne.
Mike.
None of
She got it
is
from
real.
a squid. Squids have ink.
squids
got a
and
friend
octopi. Cephalopods.
who's a squid.
Cephalopods have ink.
And,
Right, let's
and they
move on
eat
to a
fish,
current
but not the
movie.
ones that
I
can
mean, the
speak.
What
fish-
about Snow
Fish
White
and
and the Seven
Twelve,
Dwarfs?
bit.
There can't be any problem with that film, surely.
Ah,
That's okay.
What film?
yikes.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the live action.
Hasn't it got
version.
Dora
That's
the
going-
Explorer in it as Snow White? Is that Dora
doing
the Explorer?
Crazy. Yeah.
I like the actress who's playing Snow White's great, and I kind of want to go and
She's very
see it
good.
now, just because all the people are going on about how it's woke or something.
it's
That makes
it's
me want to see
failed
it.
because like they're boycotting. I think that I've heard that there was like a Zionist filmmaker or something.
Gal Gadot.
A lot of people are boycotting it for that reason, but they're trying to pin
Yeah.
it on her.
Yeah, but she said something
the-
that was anti-Israeli, didn't she?
He said
Yeah,
something
and
was
it's got
pro-Gaza.
The
Gal,
deepest
Gal
crime.
Gadot. It's got Gadot
Gal
as the
Gadot's
Wicked
in it,
Witch.
yeah. She's the
Yeah.
baddie.
And apparently she's awful in it. Apparently, like she can't act her way out of a wet paper bag, which kind of
They
makes
ha-
sense to anyone who's seen
They
the
made her
movie.
Wonder Woman,
Why is
not
that
because of her acting chops.
I also did was say something pro Gaza or pro or anti.
Pro Palestine. No, she said free
Pro
Palestine.
Palestine. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well, she'll
like,
be
good
swept
for
up on
her.
the streets soon enough.
Whereas
like
Gal
literally
Gadot
burying
effectively
babies
works
on
for
the
the
rock,
IDF.
like-
So,
Yeah. So she's going to get deported, you know, because that's pretty much a trend that's going
But
on with
just
the ICE
pinning it on a
people.
woman of like she's a woman of color, isn't she? As far as I'm aware. Like,
Hispanic.
Yeah.
Hispanic.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
she'll be swept
she
up
said
soon.
something in favor of like, well, you know, not murdering babies, and now she's getting all the shit for it. When in fact, it's the fact the filmmaker's problematic, isn't it?
Yeah, but
Well,
the
the
thing
film
is,
is
if
just
you-
a pointless
Sorry.
remake, another live action pointless remake of a classic film that didn't need
I
to
would-
be
They're
remade.
literally
They're
just going
not-
through
I
their
would-
back catalogue and making all the old.
I was told.
The
Disney
reason-
films.
I was told all lives matter, so I don't understand why everybody's so upset with her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not dwarfs.
But the thing is, if you,
The,
if you put her and Gal Gadot next to each other, they're pretty much the same skin tone. Like,
Yeah.
what's the problem?
I don't think it's
The,
about. I think
It's not about skin tone.
It's about allegiance to different regimes. As
Also,
well.
there is a thing
I don't know
that she
the whole
looks.
story.
She looks remarkably like the 1940s cartoon character. You couldn't ask for a human being that looks any more like a cartoon than she does.
She's very young. Yeah, she is
It's
very.
brilliant casting, really. It's just that nobody.
Apparently, she's really good in it.
Yeah. Apparently is.
I can't wait till
Mark
they make a
Mark
Black Stone
Commode-
movie.
Mark Commode wanted to
Forever
love it
won't
and
be
said he
long.
hated it because I was
Mark
going to go and
Commode
watch
and his
it just
big
to
hands.
give it some numbers. Yeah.
I mean,
Well-
Mark Commode is weird. I mean, what is he? Is he the fella that's got? Oh no, isn't it Scott Mills? Which is the two fellas that do this?
Yeah, Commode and Mayo, Simon Mayo.
Not Commode and Mayo. Except Mayo just sits there the entire time and says nothing, and Commode just talks.
Did you
No,
confuse
they're good.
Simon Mayo with Scott Mills?
I don't know what I was playing at.
Aren't
Aren't they both DJs though?
Yeah, but
So,
what-
Mark
Very
Mark
different.
Commode and the X Radio 1 DJ bloke, whichever that was, Jimmy
Yeah,
Savile.
but it's very weird. because-
West Side Story. She was in Spielberg's West Side
Yes.
Story that came
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
as well,
yeah.
Chloe.
She was
I
very
don't know
good.
much about the actor.
Sorry,
I
she's
don't.
not Dora the Explorer. That's a different actress.
I don't know much.
There is a
Apparently,
Racist.
really good in it. Apparently, she's really
all
good in it.
look the same,
and,
Yeah,
eh?
yeah.
and the
Right?
Daily Mail is saying woke Rachel Ziegler makes
Mm-hmm.
new career move after humiliating Snow White box office. Woke Rachel. What the hell? I want to see it now, just to annoy the
Why
people
did
who
I
they-
feed
think,
the Daily Mail.
I think he's at number 5 in the charts at the minute.
Doing
Yeah, I
that
think it'll
bad.
be
I got a chat here from over on the bin side. Darren says Rachel Ziegler looked remarkably like the cartoon character. Sadly, Gal Gadot looks most likely to Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh, that's a good shout. That's a good shout.
She's tall Tulsi
does.
Gabbard.
Get her a little grey streak in her hair. Boom.
Rogue, old
There is
bootleg
a-
rogue looking ass.
Mhm.
Wayne, in
Wow.
answer to your why are they remaking all these films, there is a genuine reason, which is that the copyright comes up after 70 years.
Right. Okay.
But if Disney
Yeah.
don't do something with the copyright, then they lose all the books and
expires,
toys and
yeah.
everything else.
that
They have to
true?
remake a film.
What?
Yeah, it's literally why they're doing the majority of the films.
It's been
basically.
absolutely review bombed. It has 1.2 out of 5 on Google from 42,000 reviews. It has
That
been
could be
review
though.
bombed. That's AI.
I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know
100%.
much about the like. I'm not going to level with you. The most I know is that all she said was like "Free Palestine." I don't know much about the director myself. I've seen the story in passing. I haven't been as across everything in recent days because I've been taking speed. So and
Can you-
Lucky.
Sorry, can you just clarify exactly what's happening there, Tan? for the
I'm
viewers?
doing titration of ADHD meds, so that's why I'm not drinking anything. I'm drinking tea.
Me
And-
too.
But the problem is that I didn't realise the effects of on the first day I didn't realise the effects of mixing it with coffee. So about 2 hours
Hold
after
up.
taking it, I had one of my normal mocha pots, which are like, you know, fuck you up strong coffee, and I make it with ground. I put it on the hob, cook it, drink it, and I started like rushing. I felt like I was about to start raving. I was just like, oh, like I got this euphoria. Yeah, I had to put on some dark drum and bass. Like I had to, and I got my workout gear on, and I did one of the best workouts I've done in months.
You heard a deep West Indian voice. Feel the rhythm. And you were like, yes.
But
Doing that
Mikey,
shit right now.
If
Mikey,
I'd been
here's the
around
thing.
strangers,
Where's
man,
the
I'd
air
have
horn
been-
now, Mikey? Where's the air horn?
I got it on my side.
here's the
I'd
thing
have been
to
hugging
take note
strangers
of
in the
here,
shop,
Mikey.
you know, like
Tanny's doing all of this on the NHS, free at the point of service, basically.
There you go.
Yep.
free
Yeah.
speed. They actually they
Free
DHL it
speed.
to me.
How
like
much did
Uber
your
Eats.
treatment cost, Mike?
Mine,
Yeah.
it's approximately £3,000 a week.
And you're paying for that?
No.
No.
Oh.
Sorry. The ADHD stuff that I'm on?
No. The cancer treatment.
Cancer treatment. Yeah, the
Yeah.
cancer treatment's three or four
It's
grand.
free?
Wow.
But it's free to me because I live in a socialist utopia.
So hang on. You didn't have to start making methamphetamine and selling it.
Didn't
in
have
your local
to
community.
sell my body.
Didn't have to
didn't
start a
have to-
drug
So-
war with
so
the
how
Mexicans.
much-
You didn't have to kill your favourite brother-in-law. None of that.
No,
How much did that
no,
morphine
none of
cost?
that.
Wow. Wow.
That's free as well. I've got
That's
I've got
amazing.
half a litre of morphine a week. I'm getting through at the moment.
Mikey,
It's,
are you
it-
taking notes?
It's very strange the way that people are empathetic to other people when some people actually have a lot of medical debt, and then to like flout it in other people's face, that's like super cool.
No, we're not. We're not.
That's like
You run
super,
away.
that's like super woke of y'all to just like ha ha. Like
I
that's
wasn't.
very
If
immature.
anything, I
you
was
know?
sitting there thinking,
I did it.
Yeah, some of us are still paying for our children that were born 2 years ago.
Exactly.
That's
Wow.
fucked up, man. It's so
We're
bad.
still paying for it.
And you'll keep paying that until the revolution comes.
Dude, I mean, if the Department of Education is gone, the student loans should be gone.
Well,
just saying.
Well,
They're not going to be
apparently,
sold to private companies.
Shit.
apparently,
Good luck
Mikey,
collecting.
your
For pennies on
fearless
the dollar.
leader wants to be part of the Commonwealth, so he wants his country back.
He did say
It's
that,
so
didn't he?
bad, man.
Yeah.
He did.
Guy,
Well, if people want reform in this country or they want to vote for flipping reform, that's precisely the kind of model that their
Yes.
leader wants.
Yeah.
And the thing that annoys me the most is you've had people like facing benefits cuts kicking off about it. And it's like, it's the rhetoric of your dear leader reform that's caused the Overton window to shift to the right.
Mm-hmm.
And enabled a so-called centre-left government to implement cutting, horrific, indefensible reforms to benefits which are essentially cuts by stealth. You know, the last Labour government redistributed via stealth. This government is not even by stealth, just cutting. And it's the rhetoric of reform, and it's trying to keep pace with that. And instead of having the balls to stand up to it, they're just on their
I
sword.
would say the one right wing thing that Gordon Brown introduced under New Labour was the working tax credit with regards to national minimum wage. National living wage should have been put in, and we as taxpayers should not be subsidising big corporations for people underpaying people.
That's where we are with universal credit. I mean, what they take into account is that a vast proportion of people on universal credit are working, but having to be subsidised by the state because they're sometimes millionaire, billionaire, profiting companies are failing to pay them adequately.
Yeah.
So the state
Like
has to
Walmart.
And carers,
Tesco's are doing the same.
Tesco made record profits during COVID, right? And so you've got these, and also you've got the problem of carers losing their money when, you know, there's no reforms in place. There's no systems in place for care, which is why they're fucking caring in the first place for their loved ones, because there's no social care.
Exactly.
So we're in a bad spot here. But a lot
plus
of it,
most of the universal credit money is going to a private landlord. You know, it's the government subsidising a private landlord on a second house.
And loads of Tories were private landlords. They didn't bring in any reforms or changes to that law because they were all fucking profiting. So
I'm going to be the one to. My family especially will be affected by these. Might be affected by these cuts. My brother is a paranoid schizophrenic with autism. He's never worked a day in his life. He relies on benefits to live. I mean, he's not going to be able to hold the job down. He's 50 years old.
It's indefensible.
Yeah,
right.
Shocking,
so mate. I still need to find out whether it's going to affect us or not.
They haven't even communicated it to you. They haven't communicated to people how it's going to affect them.
We don't know. So
what's the impact of that on individuals that are sitting there relying on this money? And at the moment, they've got no idea, because really all they've said, I think Tan, you said in the chat the other day, they've really only introduced a debate. They're going to go and debate the green papers. So you know,
that's
why
that
it's fear-mongering, really.
That's why that senator blew up, and he's like, "Bring Elon Musk here. Get him over here, because you're not even going to tell the people what's about to happen to them." And that's the thing. Like, when people lie in public office, which is, you know, a whole nother conversation, but they feel entitled to believe what he's saying because of his position. They feel like because the president is saying this, or former president or whatever, they feel like because he's saying this, there's no way he would lie to us, not about something that's important. And that's why that guy was fuming. He's like, because the Republican senators were trying to sneak those cuts into that CR bill. They were trying to sneak that in there. And he's like, that's bullshit. You can't do that to these people. They don't know what you're doing. You need to tell them what they're doing. No more town halls.
And Scott, to your point, mate, this is why I feel that people in your position feel so let down by Labour right now, because the euphoria that we had.
Wayne, this was the only reason I voted for them.
I know.
Because
I know,
I
mate.
could
I know.
not have imagined or countenanced the idea that a Labour Party would ever cut disability benefits for disabled people. Right? That to me is the concept was so foreign. I went on my TikTok before the election and I said, I am voting Labour, and I'm going to tell you why I'm voting Labour. I'm voting Labour because they're not going to cut disability benefits like the Tories will do it. That is exactly why I voted for Labour. And then they've gone and done the one thing that I was terrified about.
Bruv, I remember you telling me at a party that this was your raison d'etre. This was, I'm voting for Labour for this, and then they've literally just shafted you.
I literally want to take my brother to somewhere Keir Starmer is. I want to show him my brother and go, tell me why he deserves less benefits.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even benefits. It's literally just keeping people alive.
Right.
None of it was in their manifesto, and they vehemently denied many times prior that there would be any form of austerity. So it is going. It's not.
It's a betrayal.
Even going back on anything.
Yeah.
Using things that they never. No one thought that they would.
This is a betrayal. This is what Tories would do.
Can I just say to everyone who's watching, if you are affected by this, or even if you're not and you're just pissed off about it, please write to your MP, especially if you've got a Labour MP. This is not going through yet. It's still a green paper. It's a lot of suggestions of what's going to come through in the next couple of years. A lot of Labour backbenchers are against this. And if we can put pressure on them, and if they get letters off their constituents and they get emails off them, they have to reply to them. They have to at least look at them. It's part of their job.
Blow the phones up.
Yeah,
that's what we did.
I live in a true blue borough. There's just nobody I can turn to on this.
Okay, well, Scott, we need to do it on your behalf, mate.
Yeah, we'll do it. There's a lot of Labour.
Although honestly, Scott, write to your Tory MP. They want ammunition. You know.
Yeah, they
politics.
will.
I don't want to give because they would be the first one to do it if they had a chance.
Yeah,
they were saying they were going to bring in 12 billion of tax of benefit cuts to disabled people.
Absolutely not. They would be the first person to do it. He's not going to have any sympathy for me, right, or my brother at all. Sorry.
I've got a bit of good news here, although it's not going to be great for Labour because they've just fucked themselves terribly. Osborne tried to implement 12 billion. He managed to deliver less than half because of lobbying, because of outcry from his own party. Yeah. And because like even a lot of Tories were like, this is a bit too rich for me. Like I'm not going near this. And also like charities fought it. So I think he tried to bring in 12 billion, didn't he? And I think he managed to deliver 4 or something like that, or 5 billion of cuts. So it's very unlikely to happen. The worst thing is that they have lost their core voter base. They've lost people that were on side with them. They've betrayed their voters within the first 8 months. And that's going to be incredibly hard for them to politically recover from.
Yep.
So they need to drop the idea.
Well, no,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
I agree.
They need to drop it.
I agree.
Like this needs to not be a thing. You want to get me back? Drop this shit.
They still.
I hate to be the one that tries to give a bit of balance, but we don't know yet. Like the headlines are right-wing headlines that are saying this is happening at the moment, and what they've announced. And listen, I'll be absolutely honest with everybody. Through this cancer for the last 6 months, I've been taking universal credit, and it's the first benefit I've ever claimed in my life.
It's rubbish.
But as a self-employed individual, I had nowhere to go. I couldn't work for the last 3 months, basically. But
same.
But there needs to, but there does need to be a little bit.
Have to apologize for taking benefits.
No, Scott. No, but let me explain. No, I agree. That's my middle class angst. But here's the thing. It was too easy for me to get that, being honest with you, and they've not offered me any possible way, even though I've asked to find ways to get me to actually work rather than claim the benefits. So, and I think that's one of the things that they are trying to attack, because there are a lot of people that have just been the Tory system, just created a system where you sign off, you end up with the benefit basically, and then you're trapped. Because I'm in a world at the moment. If I go and earn some freelance money, I have to pay a 50% tax on every pound I earn.
That'll
Right,
that'll
so-
be our MP for Chingford that brought that in, Mr.
Yeah, yeah.
IDS.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
So,
a bastard.
when you're on benefits, right? When I was on
And
benefits,
I want to just quickly, Scott. I'm sorry. There's a big separation between your brother and me in this situation, because for me it's just universal credit and it's sickness payment. PIP, which is what your brother should be getting, is about helping people to live and exist and work if they can, or just live and exist.
I had to go
And
to
it's
the
a
first
separate
assessment.
thing altogether.
I had
So they're
to go to the
cutting
first-
help at UC as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's
I had to
UC
go-
that I think they want to make the cuts.
Let him in
That's
there,
the
Mike.
hardest
Let him
bit.
in. Let Scott in there. Get in there, Scott.
I had to go to the assessment for my brother. Those assessments are degrading and awful, and they're conducted by employees. They're not conducted by medical professionals or doctors or psychologists or anybody who has
Wow.
any idea of what that person who's claiming the benefit is going through. They don't know anything. They read a questionnaire that is written by a civil servant off a computer screen. That's how the Tories did it. If this is going to be anything like that, I'm sorry,
No,
Labour,
exactly.
you have really, really fucked up because.
But I don't think that's what they're aiming at, Scott. I genuinely, the reading I've
hold
done
on.
around it, because obviously this affects me as well.
Sorry.
But the reading I've been doing recently is saying that what they're aiming to do is try and put a replacement service that works in. But at the moment, Scott's quite right. It's all contracted out to private companies that just sit there going through a tick list of questions, and they're not medical.
The thing. I said to my job coach at the job centre, like I said, like, all the jobs you're sending me are through third parties. So someone's skimming. Someone is skimming. Just give me a job where I can go to an employer. I work for you, and that's it, direct, right? Everything that I was getting sent was like, you go to this agency, and then they'll pay you through an umbrella company, and then you don't get any like health benefits or holiday pay, sick pay, or anything like that.
As much as I want to
That's
continue
exactly
arguing-
what they're trying to do.
Hang on,
And, like-
Wayne. Do you have to go, Scott?
Yes, I do, and I'm sorry that I kind of like was getting a bit emotional and everything.
No,
No,
Don't
fair
No,
play.
it's
mate,
Don't
fair play,
apologize.
Fair play.
I love you guys very much, and
Love you.
and
Scott.
especially you, Tan. I just want to tell you that now. I do love you.
What the
I
fuck?
need to get in touch with you this week, okay?
Always 10.
Always 10.
Always 10.
No, we've got stuff to sort out.
We got stuff to sort out.
Yeah.
guys.
A bit fighty, so
Hey, Scott, you know we're on your team with your brother. So,
yeah,
you
no,
know.
I know. Thank you guys so much, and I love you guys. I gotta go. My friend's here. I'll see you guys later. Okay.
Oh, your friend's here, is he?
Bye,
He's
Scott.
straight. He's straight. See you guys later.
Oh,
Bye.
sorry.
Oh, yeah, it will be. Not tonight.
Okay,
No,
so,
heterosexual. Yeah, he's looking at me like, what?
What kind of stream you said you was doing?
Scott's just come out to his mate. Basically.
I'm coming out.
it wasn't
I
obvious.
wonder what you know.
Yeah, if you didn't know Scott was gay, I don't know how to help him.
I
I
did.
used to live with him. He used to have to put up with my gayness. Didn't you?
Is that what you called it? Your gayness. Mm.
Hello, friend.
You can't eat. Why not?
I can be there.
This is sad.
Oi, oi.
Rocking.
See you guys.
Oh, that's
Bye.
a sick beard.
Bye.
Bye bye.
They,
Cheers, mate.
they complimented your beard.
He hasn't left yet. So good.
Anyway, so no, I agree with what Mike you were saying about what they're trying to do, but they've got terrible comms. They've fired their comms director yesterday, or he left. We don't know.
They
But
had one.
there's two sides to this. There's a side, let's get people who can work and want to work back into work. Give them the reasonable adjustments they require to get them into work. Fine, great. Do you know what? That'll save loads of money. It will make money for the government because if they're working, they're going to be paying tax on what they earn and they'll be able to buy more stuff. They'll be paying VAT on that. Great, okay. Don't cut what little is there already, because if you cut what after 14 years of Tory rule, what's left for people who are on universal credit or people who are on PIP? What's left for them? The Labour are like, oh no, that's too much.
Yeah.
What?
Here's what you do. Any company that has more than 50 employees, you need to double their wage. The starting wage needs to double. They have the funds for it. They just don't want to give it up. So they just
course they
keep
don't.
paying workers the minimum amount. And that's why we're talking about all this stuff. It's because the people on the very bottom 2, maybe 3 rungs of society are on starvation wages. So then they need all of this additional support and health and all that stuff because they are so strapped. And all the budgets and everything is so tight because there's so little money coming in.
But
Because the employers are hoarding it from their employees.
exactly, Mikey, what you got to understand is there is no incentive for governments to look at these companies and say, no, we ain't going to pay you that. Because what's happened now is we've made a rod for our own backs in the sense of we've dictated a minimum wage, and that minimum wage doesn't pay for people's rents and pay for people's just cost of living. So now the government have to step in and fill that gap. And the companies are like, all right, whatever.
And that's
walking away with the money. And that's the record profits.
And that's the easiest solution. That's literally just like computers. You know what I mean? That's going into the HR computer, and the company just has to pay out more. So if you don't want to get taxed more, fine, but then you need to pay the employees. You can't pay the employees shit, not get taxed, and then all the wealth just sits into, these silos, and then all the people are fighting for the grains of rice that fall out of the silo.
Yeah.
That is not a sustainable society. And everybody who does that leads to the same old bullshit that we've been dealing with for the last 150 years of capitalism.
I
it doesn't
hate
work.
the narrative of, these are wealth creators. The wealth creators. No, the wealth creators are the fuckers that are making you money, cunt. Sorry, I've gone there.
Wayne!
And they're evading
Bloody hell.
taxes, or
It's after 20 minutes. It's after. I'm sure we're fine.
Swiftly, or they're putting it offshore. They're putting it into
Mhm.
trying to evade tax in any way that they can. And even today, people on the radio, I could hear them still spreading the fairy tale of trickle-down economics. It
is a fairy tale. You're right.
And you can't tax the rich because they'll leave the country.
You can't tax.
Where are they going to go?
Just go.
Where are they going to go?
Go then.
They've been saying that in America.
Tax anyways.
They've been saying that in America forever. It's like you want to leave the largest set of consumers on earth. Bye. Go. And then go and see what happens.
The right wing have done. Sorry,
no,
Mike.
but this is the thing, guys. Hang on. There's a point to be made here, though. They can now, because they don't need to leave the country to move the money out of the country. But we have cryptocurrency, which makes it even worse. This is why all the gangsters, all the pedophiles, all the rapists, this is why they love cryptocurrency, because it allows them to rob every fucking penny from ordinary working people and just spread it amongst themselves. And that's not enough. They need to get people into their con so they can say, if you're like me, you could come on board and you'll make loads of money. And so they put their little bit of money in there. And then these millionaires just get richer and richer and richer. And everyone else is like, where did my money go?
So Rosie O'Donnell did actually leave the country. She moved to Ireland, and they're criticising her for leaving America to go to Ireland. Oh yeah, go on, get rid. Yeah, you can go. Well, she has.
I'd move to Ireland if I could. I mean, that would be my route to go to Paris if I could. It's just because of Brexit being
we'll get a European passport. Yeah, we're all going.
Just before we go on, we had a couple of super chats ages ago that I haven't acknowledged. So just to say thank you so much to Gunny for the £5 super chat. My mum has been dead for 12 years. She was a Labour local councillor. She would have been turning in her grave. What Labour have been up to this week?
Cheers, Gunny.
Funny, and Alan Jackson. Funny incident from my last ESA assessment. The assessor: how long have you been autistic?
Okay.
Oh God!
Oh my God!
Yeah.
I'm laughing because I'm embarrassed by that.
This is what Scott was talking about. You've got pencil pushing tossers who, sadly, I think there was some article years ago about how they get bonuses for turning people away or something.
Yeah.
And you've got these people conducting these interviews that have no right to know anything about your in-depth medical history. They've got no business. That should be between you and your doctor. But if you're so ill that you have to go through this process just to get a few pennies thrown at you to survive, and you've got those twats standing there on 90 to 100 grand a year going, you've just got to tighten your belts a bit, severely disabled person. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like,
And that's just disgraceful, you know, when he said, "Oh, but I've got a mortgage." And I'm like, fucking hell. Just before we go on,
was it Darren Jones described it as pocket money? He tried to use an analogy of pocket money to explain.
Yeah, and he said if you take the pocket money away.
To be
then
fair,
you can't.
unlike a Tory, he did go on telly and apologise straight away afterwards. In the
Literally,
interview. He got it wrong,
he said it on LBC, talking to Ian Gale. She used the exact same analogy to describe giving people like my friend Joe, who is severely disabled. He's in a wheelchair. He is like reliant on his family's care, describing that as being like pocket money. It's just
it's like over here they had the Commerce Secretary yapping on Fox talking about how number one, when you cut the money off, that's when you see where all the fraud is.
Yeah.
And then
the people who shout loudest are the ones that are defrauding the system, as opposed to the people who are dying.
And who are desperately
in an
needing
interview
that.
this week, if you have to pay $100 extra for a washing machine, it's worth it for sovereignty.
Fuck me.
Who said that? Who said that?
Commerce Secretary, whatever his name. The one that really can't string a sentence together
in the
even
States.
American English.
Yeah. All of the Republicans.
Yeah. No, he said if you have to be. The interviewer said, the washing machine industry is predicting a $100 increase on average on washing machines, and he said, well, that'll be a price worth paying for buying American goods, and
because he doesn't have to pay it.
American jobs.
Because he already has his GE or his Whirlpool that's going to last him the next 10 years. He doesn't have to pay it. But again, like this is all regressive shit. So that this end of Gen X into millennial, there's nothing left, dude. Like they're just like handing us like empty corn cobs. Like, there you go, eat that. That's your future. Eat this. This is enough for you.
This is the byproduct of capitalism after sort of 1979. Everything was outsourced. Everything was privatized. Everything was just like, someone else can deal with it, and we'll just import it. Like our industry over here is basically service based.
Yeah.
We
and the only reason they're trying to turn off the spigot is because China's catching up. China's not a poor, destitute rice country anymore. China's doing big things, and that pisses them off. India's doing big things. I mean, half of their young men seem to be in scam call centers, but the other half are fucking engineers and doctors. Like they're doing big things, and everyone in the Western world has been caught flat-footed, resting on their laurels, just collecting a fat check for doing nothing.
Mikey, it's just same sort of. It's a similar sort of story to Detroit. If you look at there's a film called Dagenham Girls, which talks about how the Ford plant in Dagenham was like huge. It was absolutely massive, and now it's reduced to making engines for third-party cars, and the whole site has been sold off. And it's now being turned into flats. But because that land is so toxic because of all the oil and petrol and stuff that was being spilt on that, it's like proper crap land. But they're building like cheap flats on there just to appease their billionaire owners. It's shocking. We exported everything. Like the 80s absolutely ruined us. Reaganomics, Thatcherites, they're all...
Arguably, Wayne, this is one of the problems I think in the States, is that Trump is kind of making the same argument. Totally, we can all disagree with everything he's doing to try and fix this, but he's basically saying, and he's doing some of the same things that Biden was doing, which is trying to use tariffs to enhance American manufacturing again. The
only major tariff thing that Biden did was on the BYDs. He don't want the BYDs coming in because they're state sponsored and they can fucking sell them for 14 grand brand new off the showroom floor, and there's no way that our Mustangs and all the other EVs that we have, we're going to be able to compete with that. Not yet. So that's why he put that on there.
But Biden was using more carrots than sticks to try and get people in to manufacturing.
I
If
agree.
you've got some super chats, man.
First of all, Mikey, could you just turn your levels down a little bit? Your mic is
your gain's a bit lively.
I've
Spicy.
had a message for ages that I wanted to read out because it made me laugh. I managed to lose it. Oh no, it is Fat Panda Cat 1979. This is from ages ago. I'm going to write a film about Princess Diana and get Meghan Markle to play her. Just to give Kelvin Mackenzie a stroke.
Fucking perfect.
Well,
Perfect. Chef's kiss. Do
If you
it.
sell your island, invest your money in that.
That
film,
would be
right?
so good.
I'd love to see Kelvin Mackenzie have a.
Does this sound better?
Go
Yeah,
on.
that's better. That's better.
Okay.
It's softer.
Gunny, £5 super chat. Thank you very much. I've read that one. Sorry. Chris C, £5 super chat. Thank you very much. At my last PIP review, assessor said heart failure had got better due to me having a pacemaker fitted. Had to fight to get it reinstated. Fucking hell, Chris.
Don't mean, Chris,
What?
We're not. Obviously, we know what we're laughing.
We're laughing at the
the
system. We're not laughing at
ridiculousness of
you.
the situation.
That's
Incredible. Like, it's
that's
what
insane.
doing.
I'm incredulous
What
to
do
that.
they do?
That's ridiculous.
So when people tell you that you're not smart and that you're a dumb person, just look at the ineptitude that is happening in official levels way above your head. You can do anything.
Every business,
Do anything.
everyone's just pretending they're doing stuff all the time. This is the
They pretend for a living to
we
work.
live in a state of hypernormalization, and the worst thing is, like, what you've got to do is look at why. Like, Aid alluded to this on his show earlier on, which was great, about why all the billionaires are building bunkers. I wonder why they might be building these bunkers to survive. You know, like, you've got Peter Thiel, who wants like technocracy.
Yep.
I very much believe the other billionaires are signing up to this. They want to do away with democracy, install some kind of like technocracy. You start talking about this shit with real people. I relate to Age. You start talking to them about it, and they glaze over because it almost feels conspiratorial because they can't believe that this is happening.
Right.
Hypernormalization, so like the hypernormalization of trickle-down economics, or how every system doesn't fucking work, but they still keep ploughing money into it.
Tan, do you think these Elon fanboys, do you think they think he's going to let them into the bunker with him?
They all think they're going to get in, like Jehovah's Witnesses.
It's
It's going to be like Willy
incels.
Wonka's chocolate
pull
factory. They're
that
going to get a
big,
golden
fat,
ticket.
thick door shut.
Golden ticket to Elon's bunker.
They just want to touch it. Like, they're so desperate for daddy to touch
Yeah, but
it.
I still
I'll
think-
sleep
I
on
still
top of
think
it
we
to
should-
protect him.
We should fully fund his plans to populate Mars, and we should build loads of his big stupid spaceships and put
And just
all
send
of
him.
those incels.
Just send him.
No, him and the incels on the rockets.
You
and
pay
say,
for it. We got a much.
We'll
We got a
send
much.
the women. We'll send the women on the next ships, lads. Off you go.
Yeah, you just wait. You just go and sit there, and we'll be there in a minute.
Can I
and
ask,
then
Well, that
crash
sounds-
them
that
into
sounds
the
like-
moon.
That sounds expensive. We have a much cheaper solution.
is there any celebrity, politician, influencer, actor, whatever, who you would defend no matter what?
Really?
No.
Who I would defend?
Yeah.
No.
No matter
What's his name?
what.
For me,
No.
that guy that was in
I'll
Morse,
turn on any of you.
What was his name? Lawrence Fox. He's good. He's really cool. I
I'm
like
going
him.
to turn on Mikey in a minute.
Lawrence
I'll
Fox.
None
He's
of
a
you are
good-
safe.
He's a good actor. Yeah, he's very good. He's a
Giancarlo
musician as well.
Esposito.
He played a Nazi once.
Oh, okay.
I'll say I meant always.
I was going to say, played a Nazi once.
Giancarlo
That's his natural
Esposito.
demeanor.
That was the
It's your
joke.
method acting.
That was the joke. Wait.
Isn't-
Jovian, before we go on, Jovian has given £5. Thank you very much. I just emailed my MP about the PIP thing for all the good it'll do. No, honestly,
will,
and
Jovian.
it will
It
do
will.
good. They call us snowflakes, but you get a million snowflakes together, push them down a hill, and the avalanche is unstoppable.
Not just that, but if there are actual demos taking place, I'll try and find. I'm going to try and find the link. I'm going to post it out on my social media. Turn up.
Yeah.
Turn up to these events en masse. Make your presence known. I intend to. A lot of us are getting flack at the moment. Because people think that because I supported tactical voting and it was a 2-horse race and our only option was Tory or Labour, that we love, because obviously, like, a lot of factions make political people their heroes. On the left,
And we'll defend them no matter what.
Yeah.
on the
By the
left,
way,
I
think
love
that's
Chuck
the
Schumer.
big
Speak to you two
difference
about that.
today in this day and age. There are the people who will defend, whether they're left or right, they will defend someone no matter what. And then people like us who are just like, no, I'll drop you like a hot stone. If you do something horrible, that's it. Fuck off.
No, Chuck Schumer's great.
we said it from the onset, right? I said, like, I'm going to hold them accountable, not based on some kind of like hypothetical mystic fucking Meg crystal ball scenario. When I see what they do, then I will hold them accountable. As someone that was born to teen parents that grew up in fucking poverty, who spent my early years on benefits, there's no way in hell that I'm going to defend what they're doing at the moment.
Well, you turned out all right.
Well,
So let's turn it off now. That's the mentality. Hey, you got
Where's
out, didn't
that
you? So let's
drawbridge?
just
Take that ladder away.
yeah.
just
Pull it up behind you, will you?
Drop the portcullis.
Graham's point is absolutely right. That I think that on the right, it is all about the individual, the strong man, the tell it like it is. Whatever Farage does, whatever Musk does, whatever Trump does, I'll support it. And on the left, we're nothing like that. Our friend in the chat, Tom Gray, who was campaigning in Brighton in my seat, we'd go door knocking in the evenings, and we knocked on one door. He's in a band called Gomez. We knock on one door. This guy opens the door, gets on his knees, and goes, "Tom, hero! I saw you in Glastonbury, 2012."
You're not worthy.
And then he says to Tom, "You've got my vote, whatever. My wife's going to vote as well. We'll definitely vote for you, whatever happens." And I turned around to the guy and said, "Whoa, no, seriously, you can vote for him. That's fine. And then I expect you to ask him whether he's fucking working for you. And then I expect you to turn out the next week and write to him and tell him that he's not fixed any of the potholes he's just promised to fix in your street, because that's what democracy is. You do not hero worship a bloody MP, basically."
There is that on the left, unfortunately, with the former Labour leader.
Whose name we shall not mention on this channel.
And like, whilst I don't think he's a bad guy, I'm sure his heart's in the right place and all of that stuff.
I do.
Like,
I think he's a see you next Tuesday. Wayne, say it. I think he's a
No.
Oh, Wayne, come on! It was your one chance to say it.
I will say, cold beans out of a tin and a mattress on the floor in Islington. There's an image for you. For those two people involved in that particular relationship.
I just always go back to that funny story that Diane Abbott told when they were dating.
Say her name, you idiot.
when they were dating, and she said, "Oh, you never take me out anywhere. Can we go out somewhere?" I said, "Okay then." So she thinks she gets all dressed up because she thinks she's going to go to a restaurant, or they're going to go out to see a play at the theatre. And he takes her to Karl Marx's grave,
which made me immediately think that fella's autistic. That's the first thing.
See, great. I was trying to be all diplomatic about it and that, and then you just come out and just name drop.
So
poor Diane Abbott. She goes on a date. She puts lipstick on and dresses herself up, and he takes her to a fucking graveyard.
It's the trick, though, because all it takes to please her is to basically crack open a couple of titties on the chin.
Oh, don't say that.
A couple of tins of beans and a mattress on the floor.
Joking.
We all love a couple of train beers, don't we?
So
like, this is I would be happy with that.
So I'm just letting you guys know I have offered this service many times, but I can do it for you guys for free. What it seems like. Do the clippy thing. Dunk, dunk, dunk. What it sounds like you're looking for is a word to say that is a swear that won't get you demonetized. It can't demonetize you if you make up the word. So instead of dropping the C-bomb, you can drop one of my favorite, which is a slunt.
Or you're a fucking can't.
You can't get in trouble for slunt because it's not actually a word. So they can't actually demonetize me for something that isn't actually real. But everybody knows what I'm saying.
Essex swear word. We've been using this for years in Essex.
Slunt?
Really?
No.
It's a cross between a slut and a...
well, there you go. We'll just use that.
Sorry, Tan, finish your words, please, darling.
She can't. Nope,
Let's
nope,
see.
nope.
No matter how much you call me darling, I'm not going to.
Oh,
Mikey, you totally
doing
deserve the
southern
super.
thing, innit?
Weird.
You
southern-
for that,
Thanks.
Mikey. You totally deserve the super chat that's just come in from
Yes.
Darian Diasta.
So Darian De Star has dropped £30, which is like,
Woo.
I don't know,
Wow.
$300 now. This is for Mikey Famine's medical bills. Oh, thank you so
Oh,
much,
thank
Darian.
you.
We'll get
Can
that over to
everyone in chat,
Can I just send you the
just-
kid instead?
Everyone in chat, if you can C-bomb, that'd be great because then I
No.
don't get blamed for it.
No,
No,
don't.
no,
don't.
no.
Wayne, stop it.
Slunt,
use the word
slunt bomber.
slunt.
now. I'm going to use the
Slunt.
word slunt all the time because that is such a disgusting
Slunt sa-
swear word.
It's
It sounds
so
like
great.
it
It's so
sounds like
great.
an Irish word for saying hello or
Like
something.
slunt as well is like
Oh, a
Hey, yeah,
twunt is
effing
good.
slunt.
It's great, and you can't get in trouble for it. It's not actually a word.
I face you for a pound.
like years and years ago by a woman that really hated me, and she said it with so much like hatred
Vim and vigor.
and vigor that I respected her. You know, I was just like, wow, you've
You
really
can
done that well. Like,
you could see the green poison dripping off the word as it left her
I
mouth.
could. It was a proper EastEnders moment, like you slunt, and I was like,
Get out of my pub.
That's
So
my boy, you slunt.
just to get back to politics for a moment, Mikey. I'm not saying this because it's your fault or anything. It just seems so fucking bizarre that we've got to the end of the week, right? So we had Signalgate was on Monday, so it's been a whole fucking week, right? And none of
Allegedly,
them
signal.
have got into any trouble at all. Like they've just all gone, oh no, it wasn't real. It was a fake. It was a hoax. It was the guy who did it was evil. Why'd you invite him to the chat then? Like, it's just
that's the best
what's
part.
The
Every
media
time
reporting like in America on this.
there's a couple
Mikey,
of different responses.
your headphones off.
Mikey, you
Oh, no,
answer
hang on,
for
it's
all
me.
of America right now.
What?
no, it's all right.
Oh,
Your headphones off.
Laughing point. There's a couple of different camps here. Even the Fox News can't find sycophants to really like spin this. Like they can't. Like they've tried and they tried to bring up, and then like, you know what came up? Hillary's emails. But it wasn't in a good way, because it was clips of them on Fox News saying Hillary should go to jail for leaking information, and this is espionage. This violates the Espionage Act, and you shouldn't be. Why are you using a personal phone while you're in Russia, Mike Waltz? On Signal, Mike Waltz. Tammy didn't want to tell where she was, somewhere off in Asia. So these people weren't even on American comm systems when they're doing this messaging.
One of them was in the
What's
Kremlin. It was in the fucking
Yeah,
Kremlin.
one of them was in Russia.
That's what I'm
Guaranteed his phone was being
Waltz
watched.
Waltz was in Russia. The guy who started the group chat was in Russia. So
Oh, wasn't it Wick? No, wasn't it Wick, the special envoy guy, Steve Wick or whatever it is?
oh yeah, that's right. Wrong W
Yeah.
name. Yeah, but
Wanker.
you know what I mean? It's,
Wanker would do.
Jesus.
it is
Swear jar.
it is unbelievably inept. And they can't spin this because it's stupid. And every excuse that they have is just a bigger, better shovel for them to keep digging the hole. This is bad. That is not an okay thing. And the reason why the American government, well, in the past, was so reliable at accomplishing things was because the gears churned so slowly. And there was, 1,000 meters of red tape, and you have to do all these hoops you have to jump through. Just like NASA. NASA moves very slow, but after Challenger, they don't have no more explosions because they don't play that shit. We'll couch this for another 6 months if we have to make sure that everything's perfect. Slow and steady is what led to the stability, which led to the economy, which led to all of this. But if you start, just shooting from the hip and I'll just do whatever feels right because I'm a Fox News weekend host and I think I got this under control. And for him to get up on camera and say that never happened. That guy's a piece of garbage. And then everybody else is sitting there like, dude, the White House already said that it's real. Like,
Yeah.
you guys already said it's real. Like, while he's lying about it. I had a bit of a last thing, and I had a bit of a rant about it because these dudes want to be toxic masculine demigods. You gotta fucking tell the truth. Men tell the truth. That is manly to be honest, and it is manly to apologize when you make mistakes. That is a manly thing to do. Women can do their thing. They can have their own mantras about what they think a woman is and all that stuff. But if you're a man, you need to honor your word, and you need to be accountable when you make mistakes.
That's basic morality.
And he ain't got it. And he ain't got it. He sat there with his slick back hair, with no tie on, looking like an extra on a porn set. I mean, yeah, you look so fucking cool right now, lying. You look like a little boy.
But that's what I don't get. Like, why has there not been so much pushback in the American media about the fact that, look, you've been proven to be a liar. Tulsi Gabbard has been proven to be a liar, and yet
She's a spy.
But there's no like proper pushback.
But the thing is, did you see the Sky
Chuck
News
Schumer was the pushback, and look what he did.
Interviewing what's her name? MTG the other day,
Marjorie
where she turned around and said,
Taylor.
where we a response to a question, sensible question about Signalgate.
Yeah,
just,
she blew
where
up
are you
like
from?
a Karen.
You're from England. Fuck off. We don't want you here. Go back to your own country.
Sky News presenter.
Then
but the problem is, it's their technique, isn't it? It's what Trump does every time, and now all of his minions do the same thing, which is you turn on the journalist. You know, the journalist in
shithole country.
The journalist in this story is the only one that cared about national security, by the looks of it, basically.
Yeah,
because he
what
redacted most of what he was saying until he was
and he didn't just immediately just start, posting it as soon as he got into the group. He just put it on Twitter. You know what I mean? He didn't do that. He withheld information before, and then he went to the people he was supposed to, like, hey, they've been sending me this. I'm not going, because you will go to jail for stuff like that. Even if you get put into a group chat and you don't report it, you have a duty to report.
To your point, I love the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene is shutting down the UK reporter, and then her colleague, an American reporter, because she's saying, I don't care about your country. Then the American reporter shows solidarity and says, no, answer her question.
Yeah. And that's what they should do more in those presses. Because it seems to me that all Trump ever does is sit at his desk and talk to journalists. I mean, he's never fucking working, is he? Basically.
Yeah, and when he refuses to answer a question, the next journalist should ask the same question.
Yes,
until he
100%.
answers it.
Yeah.
100%.
But that's the thing about, I mean, we did over at the Bend for a while. Like, I was proud that we support the New York Times. You know what I mean? And we gave them a donation out of our super chats or whatever, or out of our Patreon, to make sure that, like, some journalists are being paid to provide these stories, right? Like, we're taking these stories and we felt like we should. They don't do it anymore. I pulled the money. Yeah. I'm like, if you're just gonna just suck up the people and just live, just Trump lies and shit like that, and print lies, then there's no point. You don't need our money.
Yeah. But Trump sued ABC and got an apology out of them, and a payment of $6 million, was it, or something like that, for all they did was report the fact that he was a rapist.
Yeah, but Mike, the reason that is the case is because if they kick the can down the road, it's going to cost them more money in litigation. And they're like, it's easier to settle than it is.
No, I agree. Their tactic is to attack the press, so the press end up scared to say things, basically, and then they do more things while they've got the press cowering, and then the press don't do anything about it, and it becomes the norm, and they just go. It's not like he hasn't spent the last 10 years saying the media are trying to kill you.
That's that's exactly what Reform of Marriage is doing. That's what the Tories.
Yep.
I mean, they overhauled the Official Secrets Act to make it harder for journalists to criticise them or embarrass them. We've got a major problem with whatever's happening in America is basically gradually.
It's the same thing.
It's going to come here. Yeah, it's going to come here.
But it's never been as prevalent as it is, and a lot of it came about. I found this infiltration came about, especially amplified around the time of COVID and conspiracy.
I would say it was more around Leveson 2. Leveson 2 was shut down because of that.
Yeah, but that wasn't. I wouldn't say that's a big moment when all of this kind of tended. I would say it was a big moment was around the time of COVID vaccinations, and with
Facebook.
with all of that comes the conspiracy. Obviously, a lot of it started around 2016 with Brexit and
Trump.
and Trump, because obviously Brexit was the petri dish for Trump. It was their dry run for what they could get away with Trump. And then you saw all the millions being ploughed into offshore bot farms to basically radicalize people by Cambridge Analytica, all that business. But I think the vaccine and the kind of pandemic era really compounded it, because a lot of right-wing conspiracy theorists rely on people believing anything they'll say, and it's also a veil behind which they hide their paedophilia, their rapes, and their other crimes. Obviously,
that's why they like Bitcoin. Got to pay for it somehow.
They'll just find God, and then they're absolved of having raped loads of people, like
Russell Brand.
Brand allegedly on
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Say allegedly.
So I just had a really bad bit of hay fever there.
I did say allegedly, but I think he needs to have his cock lopped off personally.
Wow.
Did you? Just on that, did you see that Der Spiegel had a story this week about
with an oyster knife?
Many of the people that were in the Signal chat, that essentially they did a trawl through the internet to find WhatsApp numbers, mobile numbers, email addresses, registrations of all of the people that were in that chat group.
Oh yeah.
And they found, and half of the people in that room, they found their public Venmo details.
Wow.
Yeah, Pete Hegseth, his Venmo is still open to the public. Like these people, they haven't screened or done any of the proper things to prepare to be in an administration.
They shouldn't even be in Signal chats. This is what happened in Britain with the COVID
WhatsApps
chats and everything,
Yeah.
and then like Lord Bethel and others accidentally on purpose losing their phones in rivers and lakes.
Yeah.
They conducted all this business not through the proper channels.
The lake really snuck up on me.
No,
they did a Rebecca Vardy.
They did a thing. Oh my god, no! Rebecca Vardy essentially did a Bethel. Like it's like between
Get the timeline right.
Wagatha Christie and that was, I don't know if you know about Wagatha Christie, Mikey. It was like two footballers, like two wives of these footballers got involved in this bitter online spat, and it ended up being this like massive story that was very like massively entertaining, because one of them had a great way
being turned into an ITV drama.
It turned into
really?
Yeah. They made it.
Brilliant.
Michael Sheen was in it, and everything.
I know.
Like, can't believe they cast him. But no, what they're doing is they're avoiding all like public scrutiny. So they're conducting their business off record for this very reason, so they can be corrupt bastards. Like they're doing it on purpose, but they're so fucking thick that they ended up. I mean, how could you add a? It reminds me of that what is it, Brass Eye sketch when the paedophile accidentally ends up in the with a kid. This is the last thing we wanted.
This is the last thing we wanted to happen.
It's like that's what it's like. It's like, how did you end up adding this apparently untrustworthy? He's so
horrible journalist.
His number, and you added him into your WhatsApp group with the war plans. Not just that, they're revealing how they like were blowing up entire apartment blocks of fucking civilians.
Oh yeah, they confirmed.
Where's the reporting on that?
He's walked in with his girlfriend. We're going to destroy the entire building.
Kids blown to pieces in that, and they're like,
and where's the reporting on that?
Emoji.
Yay emoji.
Fuck me, these people, they're soulless. And this
not
is
only that, I'll pray for our fucking troops. Oh god.
This is the problem with modern
Please
warfare,
don't.
Yeah.
Guys, I've got the latest Led by Donkeys video, which dropped about an hour ago. Do anyone want to watch it? It's on.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, go on.
Let's
You
go.
actually get to see it though on here. Or...
you'll see it on my screen. I'm going to share our
That's right,
program
we'll
screen
see it,
with
yeah.
you, so my screen's going to change. Okay, so here we go. Everyone else at home will be able to hear it. You guys won't be able to hear it, but you get the gist.
What the hell you say?
Being in Birmingham, where the Vladimir and Nigel welcome you to Birmingham. Entrance to the far right.
Oh, I love it. I love the coppers trying to work out where the bloody projectors are.
He's laughing.
It's got to be far away, right?
Physics. Go physics.
Far, far away.
Brilliant.
Oh wow, brilliant!
I love those guys.
Bravo.
Brilliant.
Now, Graham, we can't see you, man.
I know. Sorry, I just got to change.
No, it's
something
he's
here.
nice. It's better, Graham.
What?
Yeah.
Let's let me flick
Oh
my
my
camera
God.
across.
All right.
That was brilliant. Entrance to the far
We have-
right.
The Bin Podcast Network has hit 700 subscribers. Air horns.
Hey!
Woo! Yeah.
We can't hear that, but there's air horns going off.
I'm
And they're
gonna-
lovely.
Mikey, once I'm getting my studio, I know that I should probably say this after broadcast because it's admin, but I'm actually getting my little room set up this week, so I'll be able to come on and say,
Yes.
bring some English twats your way.
Yeah.
Hey, whoa, hold up. I'm not
Slunts.
okay English. twat.
Slunts.
Normally it's just
Slunts,
wait.
English slunts.
English slunts.
You're going to have another one in your midst.
sorry to bring this
It's almost
all
like
back.
an invasion.
Sorry to bring it back to politics
The
again.
red coats are coming.
Mikey, I want to ask what I asked about the media and their response. What about the Trump voters? Like, is the needle moving? Are some of them waking up and going like, "What the fuck?" I mean, there must be some military members who voted for Trump who are now like, "Oh, fuck."
You see they shut down all the town halls. All of the Republicans have been sent home for vacation and don't go out in public. Don't do all that. JD Vance can't go. That's why he's over in Greenland. They can't freely travel around anymore. They are in hiding.
Wow.
Now how long that will last, who knows? But I'm just saying, one of y'all is getting snatched up. You know what I mean? There's gonna be an incident. I don't know where. It might be Texas. It might be, I don't know. But the people are not happy. The farmers are not happy. The auto workers are not happy.
Is this true that Nebraska's going to go bankrupt this year?
Well, they're always on the verge of bankruptcy. It depends on the crops.
Nebraska is a red state, isn't it?
Very red, and they voted for Trump, and a lot of
They're
their
not very
workers are
red.
undocumented workers, and they've all left.
But they're subsidized by blue states round them, aren't they?
It's not a round them thing, but
Did you see
and they have like
the story in
they're
Florida where they're researching whether they can change the laws to let kids work and to replace all of the
Oh
immigrant
yeah,
workers?
14-year-olds. I got a text from my friend who lives in Florida about that. Let me just quickly find.
Yeah, you
that.
don't need to like go to college or like study for your classes. Just work this bobcat like the kid in the video is doing. His dad owns a company that has heavy equipment.
Right.
So just do what this kid's doing, because that's what all of these kids' parents have is like contracting and like landscaping, and like they just have these companies. No, they don't. No, you want to stick kids in Amazon. You want to put kids in the meat packing plants. You want to do like I read The Jungle. Okay, I know what your plan is. You want to put them in where the machinery is really small and their little fingers can the mines. Like, yeah, I know what you're trying to do. There's no economic benefit to put. What really helps a kid is that their parents can feed them, and that most kids suffer. I think it's 40% of the kids that suffer from hunger. It's outside of the school year because they're not getting their free lunch anymore. So keep telling me that these kids need to work when the parents can't afford to feed them. That's the problem.
This is the screenshot I got from Rebecca in Florida. It said from CNN, eliminate working time restrictions. 14-year-olds can work overnight. Teens can work overnight on school days and guaranteed meal breaks for ages 16 and 17.
There you go. That's the masses sorted out for Mar-a-Lago, isn't it?
And I've worked with tons of young people, but we didn't hire them until 16 because before 16 you have to have a work permit, and it's like from your parents and all that stuff, and it's they have a lot of restrictions on that for good reason. So if you're a freshman or a sophomore, you need to be a freshman and a sophomore. If you're a junior or a senior, come on over.
What
You know what I mean?
age?
We
What
don't
age is a sophomore?
and 16.
16.
So it's like when you're done with your beginning schooling stuff and you're still trying to not be an eighth grader, then yeah, and you're in high school and you want to work something, but even still, we didn't work them more than like 20, 24 hours. And it was like from like that, like I think I had them all gone by 10. And I tried to limit that as much as I could and use like the older college kids and use them for the nights and stuff like that, because you can't work until 10 o'clock. I mean, I did it pretty much all through high school, but it's not a conducive learning environment for me to be up for school at 5:30 in the morning, go to school, do all of that stuff, do my homework, get some dinner, and then I go to work, and then I work from 4 to 10 every day.
But my
Every
guess is
day.
in Florida, they don't really want you to go to school. They're quite happy for you to start working at 14.
Yeah, as soon as you leave school. Looking at that, it says like 16. Yeah, you're out. You're grafted, bruv.
And
the idea
so-
that they can announce that, say, we want your kids to come and work in these fields or whatever it is they want them to do, and
Yep.
and nobody is sitting there going, oh, hang on, maybe the immigrants were doing some good. Maybe we need some Mexicans here. Basically, it's like,
But that's the thing.
madness.
They won't put stuff like that up to the voters. They'll just declare it. You know what I mean? That's the problem. And I think if and when America rebuilds itself, there's not going to be any more executive orders.
But Florida,
And there's
it's
not gonna be
it's
any more
Cub-
electoral
it's-
college.
It's more Cubans, isn't it? And in Florida, it's more Cubans.
There's all kinds of people down there. There's all kinds of people. And it is so against everyone's best interest to keep going along with this and to placate this and to act like, it's not going to be so bad. I mean, be unprepared at your own peril at this point. They don't know what they're doing, and they're making big cuts. Like the Department of Education is gone. And people act like everything's hunky-dory. Okay, so when you can't put your special needs kid in school because the school no longer has any obligation to teach your child, and you have to do it all privately with tutors or drag them around with you all day because you don't know what to do next, I guess that's when they'll figure it out, But a lot of people are going to suffer for this. And then and with all this bullshit that they're doing at colleges, and if they convince all these kids to go to work, so let's say they get a whole generation of kids to go to work instead of going to college, that puts us decades behind everyone else. Decades.
Well,
Like it's going to take a
I
lot.
mean-
Like we're not going to have teachers, so we're going to have
Yeah,
people go
yeah,
to school to become teachers and become professors just to get this cycle going again. That's why it's supposed to build on top of each other.
I was just reading a story about one of my favorite authors, Timothy Snyder, who wrote literally the book on tyranny, like how tyrannies happen, how fascism rises. And he's just moving from Yale to Toronto University, and he's citing the fact that he's now living in a proto-fascist country and he needs to leave because he'll be one of the first on the list.
Yep.
You're going to lose all your professors, all your scientists. They're all going to...
All the engineers, they're all going to go. No one's going to stay here. It's going to be a ghost town.
Well, the morons are going to stay. The people
Exactly.
who are,
That's the point. They want people.
Trump voters are going to stay, and everyone who wouldn't vote for Trump is going to try their best to get out.
Well, they specifically target lower IQ, well, not lower IQ, so that's completely the wrong term. People that have lower educational attainment.
Yeah.
Or people that haven't been to uni. This is
Fuckwits.
exactly. And people that no, people
I'm
that
a fuckwit.
Graham, that's a double score in the swear jar.
people that are poorer, people that are maybe not as tuned into the political facts or don't know how the political system works. That's exactly what they do with reform here. Reform, we're targeting poorest towns.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of them don't, and places that are not
Clacton.
towns. Clacton, I live near Clacton, and it's one of the.
I know.
It's one of the. It was quite. It is still a deprived town, and on the day that I turned,
Daywick.
there was
All right, Wayne.
there was a burnt out vehicle at the side of the road that had been before Christmas. That's one of the first things that greeted you as you went into Clacton, and we did vox pops with the people in the town asking about Farage, and there was a fair few people that just said he just comes here for a photo opportunity, like we can't stand the dickhead. There was a bunch of people who would, older people who didn't really want to admit that they'd voted for him, and there was also, interestingly, a proportion of people that said I shouldn't say anything. And it's like, what? It's like, well,
Shouldn't
say anything. Oh, I really shouldn't comment on that. Why? Like, I was sitting there thinking, why should you not comment on that? But these are the places.
How old was that person?
Some of the people that said it were probably in the age demographic that you would think would vote reform. So I would say, like,
my age then. Yeah.
What is your age?
Eternal.
58. Yeah.
58, really? Fucking hell.
Fucking hell, you're old.
I don't know.
I thought it was way lower than that.
Just scrape him off the floor.
I thought you were way lower than that. No, I mean, probably, like, I would say, like, yeah, like 50, like 50s, 60s, but they look a lot worse than you, Mike, trust me. They've been put in a tumble dryer, and
there's a lot of people that in my age group gone stupid, right?
Ten, should we do a vox pops around Clacton, me and you, right? And we'll switch camera and ask the inhabitants of Clacton.
Inhabitants, that's what they're called. Inhabitants.
Just
specimens.
Their opinions, because the thing is, it will flip between. What do you think about immigration in this country? For you, they would say something totally different. And then they would say something totally
that would
different.
be interesting, actually. That would be an interesting exercise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I think the trade union group that do a really clever way. They have a really clever way of approaching it. So they'll approach people and ask them questions about, do you think the NHS should be privatised? And everyone will go, no, of course not. I don't think. And then they'll go, well, did you know the person, the reform candidate running your area, wants to privatise?
Yeah.
What? And you'll see the change in them, and a lot of them will like, well, I didn't do that. I thought they were for Britain, and it's like, you're being conned, you fucking idiots. That's why you're being conned.
I've got to jump in because we got a super chat a few minutes ago from Ian Cullen, who said we need to get Starmer and Reeves with the new superpower of pissportation. So we were talking about this, me and Rachel, on Wednesday. We were saying, if you could have any superpower, what would your superpower be? And Rachel wanted to be invisible. I wanted to be able to change people's gender from a distance just by going. But someone in the chat,
gender or sex, Squay? Gender or sex?
I don't care. The someone in the chat suggested that their superpower they wanted to be is every time they went for a piss, they could magically teleport that piss into the face of someone they hated.
Farage would just be permanently wet.
I don't understand.
Piss all the time.
Where is it coming from?
Brian would drown.
At first I liked it, but now I'm just overwhelmed.
Right, Trump.
But we've just had a mega chat come in. Thank you so much. This doesn't happen very often. I've actually got special animation. Mega chat. Thank you to Darian Dastar. This is for beers for the lads and a decaf chai latte for the lady. Sorry, Super Tanty. The patriarchy sucks. Love you, lass. Champagne cocktail for you when you want it. 50 quid. So I'll keep that.
Wow.
And Tan, when I come down to Brighton in May, to go and visit our friend Mike, who lives down there.
Person, like,
I owe you a champagne, okay? And that'll be from Darian.
All right, on that basis, I am definitely coming down in May.
Buy me a little cheeky, because I'll probably take a weekend off the meds. So buy me. I'll go full ADHD.
Ten. I noticed that sly wink.
I'll do it. Well, I'd have to. You can't drink on Ritalin. So.
There's two D's in ADHD, and they both stand for drunk.
If it's any of the weekends in May, it's the festival down here. So here's what I'll try and do: is find us a venue, and we could do this on stage, basically.
That would be brilliant.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
All right,
I can't promise it.
Mikey, come on.
Mikey, come on.
And
put you on the screen, Mikey.
If you're allowed in.
I don't know if they wouldn't let me back in.
Can I?
Yeah, that's
can I
true.
just say something about the very generous Darian? I read a comment earlier that he wrote, which is that he listened to Darren. He listened to full disclosure. I listened to one podcast from the Bin Network, and I learned so much and I laughed so much that I immediately became a patron.
Oh, thanks, mate.
Generous human.
Mate, you went almost English then.
I did my 23andMe, and I am Belfastian.
What's the guys? Have you seen the story about 23andMe?
Get Mikey to do a proper English accent.
Yeah, get Mikey to do a proper English accent. That's you.
Yeah.
That's what you sound like.
Say,
Mikey,
get down them stairs, you slag.
Mikey, I'm concerned for you now. Have you seen the story about 23andMe this week?
I've heard something about this, but I don't know what it is. Like I've heard there's controversy.
What are they gonna do? Clone me?
They've been
like I can't tell the difference.
No, don't.
I can't tell what my clone would do. I am a nerd. I've been waiting for this day for my clone to come out of the darkness and attack me at any moment. I'm ready.
Coming out of the proto gel.
I know exactly what he's gonna do.
They did that sheep years ago. And heard nothing about it. You know, it's just
they've gone bankrupt.
Oh shit!
And users are rapidly trying to delete all of their accounts, and they can't because the servers are not up. Basically, well, somebody could just buy it pretty cheap, basically.
And then you steal all your
and do what? And do what with it?
Creating you.
If I could buy your DNA, Mikey, I would automatically be growing in this petri dish a few Mikeys.
Hey, do it, idiots. And then when it destroys you, you'll be like, well, how do I stop it? Yeah. I'm like, it's gonna cost you some money.
This is how
and then I'll tell you how to kill me. Like if they wanna clone me, hey, it's gonna get you at night, and you're not gonna.
I don't
see
think
it
it's
coming.
cloning. Think about it, right? That is a database mainly of Americans because it's mainly used by Americans. That is a database that proves whether you're Hispanic, Jewish, whether you're from the Middle East, whether you're
right. But this
you think Trump can read?
No.
And the government is currently using computers to track down people to send to El Salvador, whether they've committed a crime or not. No courts involved, no judges involved, no lawyers involved at all.
So then why do they need the 23andMe data if they're just doing it anyway?
Because the geeks don't want to go out in the street and arrest you. They just want to point the ice guys towards you.
Right. Like, Mike, if you sent your 23andMe data over to someone and they just sent you back like, this is your heritage, and you go, oh, look at me, I'm 23% this, I'm 20%. How the fuck do you know?
How do you know?
You're just sending it over to some third party. You don't know.
They could just be making it up.
Exactly.
They could be technically, I suppose.
Well, send them to 3 different companies and see what you get.
Yeah, but that's a lot of money, man. Like,
and there's a lot of data.
But
there is some science there
because all the because the actual DNA between relatives is relatively the difference is relatively small. They've only got like the DNA of like 90% of the American population.
Just do your
I'm half Scouse. I'm half fucking Montserratian and all Basildonian. There you go. I don't need that 23andMe.
Okay, right. So let me just adopt your mentality about all of science and genetics because Wayne wants to be 100%. Look, you can have your way of doing things, but to prove the veracity of it, before my sister even made an account, and we're not really connected on social media and stuff like that, it's a likely sibling, like likely this, likely that, and it spotted mad numbers of my family members. So ones that I've actually taken. They're doing what they say they're doing.
Okay.
Plus, the more people that are registered, the more people that are registered.
I don't need my DNA being given to anyone.
Well,
then don't do the kit. You just don't. It's not mandatory.
Police might already have it.
Yeah, but if one of your relatives has done it, Wayne, then they've got your DNA and they can grow.
This is the fucked up thing about
it. Can you imagine there being 2 of me in the world?
Yeah. An even more fucked up version.
The thing is, if you do your family tree, you can still trace ancestry. That's how my uncle found out loads about our ancestry, was by tracing old relatives and their links to different places. You know, like that's how we found. Well, I mean, we knew about the Welsh and stuff, but we found out about other things like that. Oi.
Wow.
See, I could fit right in with you guys. I know all of your places.
You don't
So-
know.
We've attacked the Gingers, the Welsh. Who's next?
I'm half Welsh.
Londoners.
You're from
Don't go at me.
Belfast. You're also a Celt, technically. So
Yeah.
I'm a kilt.
so we're technically on the same team, despite you obviously being a wanker.
Me?
I'm not a wanker, I'm a yanker.
Are you calling me a
yank.
Celt? What?
Yeah.
Are you calling me
Worse
a
than a
slunt?
wanker.
Slunt.
I've got some news. I don't know if you read about this, but Twitter was sold today for $33 billion.
Twizzler?
Twitter. X,
Oh.
whatever it's called. It was sold.
Why Elon Musk?
Yeah. He sold it to his other company, X AI.
Oh, so he just moved it sideways.
Yeah. But he's got his money back for it.
Well
so
done,
he's paid
lad.
off all his creditors who owed him money, to, and they've all
How
been
did he
paid off.
manage? What's he done here then? How's he done?
Because he's done his classic
Because
thing of
he's stolen
raising
money from
against,
us.
raising money against vaporware, and in order to pay for something that's
Once
worth
he
so
said that
cool.
AI is going to change everything. It will in a
Yeah.
way, and it won't. I see it as just another step in human technology, along with the fucking typewriter, the telegraph, the radio, the computer,
Facebook.
the internet.
Instagram.
Social media. It's just another step. That's all it is. And it-
Everything visually. It's
And
not.
it's not going to magically
It's
make
just
people
theft.
great novelists or make them be able to compose symphonies like fucking Beethoven. Do you know what I
You
mean?
won't be able to trust what you see. This is the problem. We're not. We're going to
Yeah,
get.
but you
to a-
never could. I have this argument with Aid all the time, don't I? I'm like, you know that Forrest Gump never actually met JFK. You know they didn't actually grow the dinosaurs
What?
in Jurassic
What?
Park.
I would like to know where the hyperloop is coming. I want the hyperloop.
totally different. I mean, back when we've been able to manipulate. I studied photography. You could manipulate images like since the dawn of photography.
Yeah.
It's been easy. I mean, like you look at those classic old. I can't remember the historical pictures. The one where you photoshopped Rachel.
Loch Ness monster.
You photoshopped Rachel into the one by the river where they photoshopped the fella out. I can't
Oh,
remember.
that's
Yeah,
the
the
Stalin's
Stalin's,
porridges. Yeah.
Trotsky.
The Loch Ness monster one was the best one because
Deepfake are a different level. I mean, they're actually now, and also there's a really troubling way. Obviously, it's being used against women.
It should be very illegal.
Yeah, well, of course,
100%.
lots of things should be illegal. Rape should be illegal, but it's technically decriminalized because the conviction rate's so low. So, it's like this is the thing. It's gonna cause massive problems. We're gonna be the prime targets for it initially, and then you're gonna get to a point where it's gonna involve politicians. It's gonna involve figures. People aren't going to be able to tell the difference. The AI detector tools don't work properly. I watched like a video about
don't.
this. It can't tell the difference between pictures. It's falsely identifying things as not AI that are. So it's going to cause a whole level of problems. I don't care if it's like making people's lives a bit easier and they're too lazy to write something, so they get AI to do it. That doesn't bother me.
back in a minute.
What bothers me is when they it comes to like affecting images and videos and deep fakes.
And here's the thing, Tab, right? 15, 20 years ago, I was involved in a lobbying organization for the media. And my job was to try and find things to lobby the government about, in particular about social media and the digital world. And I put this huge, great report together with Ofsted and all sorts of people, Ofcom, sorry, to say that you need to get a grip on what Facebook and Twitter are doing.
Yes.
Right. And this was in 2008, 2009.
When we had a chance to do it, yeah.
And they all said, right, and this is the answer that I got constantly: don't regulate because it needs to grow as a business. So we need to keep it as light touch as we can on regulation. And then once it's grown, we'll be able to regulate it then. And I kept going,
What?
I don't think you know how quickly this is going to grow.
No,
And
I'm
when
going to
it
let the bull grow up first, and then I'll try
Exactly.
and get him in the pen.
Yeah.
And I love him to bits, but a friend and local MP, Peter Kyle, who is in charge of this in this country, is saying the same things about AI publicly at the moment. And it depresses the fuck out of me because there are people in this country that understand exactly what the threats of AI are. And the threats are, exactly what you've said, Tan, and copyright and also and journalism and
jobs.
standards and jobs and everything else. And we can find all of those things and say, let's regulate. Let's just make sure we regulate all of this and we've got
So-
some level of control.
Although you're absolutely right. As first of all, Alan, thank you very much for the super chat, mate. That's very kind of you. How many people get told they're related to Boris Johnson? I wouldn't like to think, but yeah, Mike, you're right. And the thing is, the tools to do AI, there's not that many of them. Obviously, are the images that AI have created and the text and everything. A law could be that every single bit of AI text, every bit of AI generated art needs to have in its metadata that it is AI. That's it.
Yep.
That is the law. And if you copy and
Simple.
paste it, it copies. You know when you copy sometimes a little bit of a newspaper article and it brings across the copyright information
from the Times.
Does it from the Times. The same rule. That wouldn't be a difficult thing for the AI companies to implement. There's no reason why they shouldn't implement it. But I don't see why, if you're, say, giving out election material, you have to have the printer's mark on it. You have to say,
are you talking about the metadata?
Yeah, I'm saying that on all metadata for anything AI generated, it should have to say by law that it's AI generated, so people know.
But
to be honest, do that now.
But to be honest, this is all fruit from the poisonous tree.
It's too late now.
They've stolen all of that data and those videos and those images and the music that they're stealing. They've already stolen. So no, you don't get to regulate dick. You get to not fucking exist. You are theft. You are profiting from stolen goods.
I think it's too late for that, Mikey. I don't think you're going to be able to put that back in the bottom.
I'm the radical. I don't cede ground to fucking. This is just as tyrannical as Trump is. It is the exact same thing in the arts world. And I can scream and yell, but no one is listening to me. It is the same level of danger for people in the creative arts, for people who actually give a shit about whether things are true or not. Like, this is not okay. Like, and I get that people want like their like helper for like text and shit like that, or translating. That's a good practical use. If I can like have someone speak to me in Mandarin and they can repeat it back, cool. That's great. What a great tool. But the fact that I'm telling you, you can go on YouTube right now, and I guarantee you, half of the channels in your shorts feed are not real people. Yeah. It is algorithms that are set up, and all these channels have hundreds of thousands and millions views, all of them, and they can make them overnight. And they just it is a corruption. It is
Mikey,
a poison. Hold on, it is a corruption and a poison to the ethos, to our humanity. This is our human speak. Like, dolphins can understand each other, fucking ants can understand each other. This is how we communicate and emote to each other. This is our way of doing that. The arts is how we express our humanity. And they are selling it. They are stealing it and they are selling it. And everyone is just like blasé about this. I'm like, this is bad.
Yeah, I agree. 100% with you on that.
100%. I was going to say, like, the very first example of this that I can think of was really, really bad. Rob Van Winkle and David Bowie with Under Pressure and Ice Ice Baby. And it was a case of
Vanilla Ice.
Vanilla Ice, yeah. Because it was such a very subtle change in the note, they got away with the lawsuit, in the sense of, like, they basically
that's not the same.
Yeah, but that's human, like, replication.
No, but they sampled it, but they were like just saying, "Oh, we didn't sample it," but they did sample it.
They were lying. That's what that whole case was. They lied.
Air that I breathe.
Yeah, but they got away with it.
Yeah, but that's kind of like duplications and repetition through time. I mean, even in photography, you had people almost like putting out the same image as a duplication, as a process of art. That's human.
Every creative builds on the shoulders of giants before them.
That's a human replication.
And everybody's been at band practice and written a song that already exists.
Yeah, because we're not that original, right? But the problem is that we've got computers taking away our form of expression, and we've had that since the days when we could scroll on a cave, and we've got computers stealing that. We've got entire like influencers on like beautiful like AI women on Instagram, and nobody knows if they're real or not. And you've got TikTok creators, you've got people on YouTube, as you say, and it's taking away our voice and our way of expressing ourselves. And the people that are winning in that are the people that are programming those things for a certain.
Well, the people that are winning are Zuckerberg and
Well, the
Bezos.
cat's out the bag,
you know.
because our government are not going to regulate them because they're scared of Elon and Trump. So
If you
it's going to affect.
if you look at the what do they call it, the oligarchy or whatever, the digital oligarchs, right?
I call them the.
If you look at them and compare them to the robber barons of the industrial era, it's the same thing, right? You own a factory, you're making millions of dollars or pounds by producing jumpers or whatever it is they made, or trains or anything, or cars like Henry Ford. And you start looking at that factory and you think, you know what, I'd make a lot more money if I had a lot less people working here, but I was still making as many cars. All right. So they start inventing robots to make cars, which gets rid of people's jobs. Elon Musk, when he first started creating the factories for Tesla, wanted to create an entirely robot manufacturing system. And it turned out he couldn't, because robots are not good enough to do that. They need to be able to fault find on cars. But that's his aim, is to have a factory that produces things with absolutely nobody. Bezos's aim is to have drones that deliver the parcels instead of humans being paid nothing to run around, exhausting themselves with PTSD. And that's what they now want to do to the arts. It's the same thing that they want to do to the arts, which is, it would be great if I could get rid of the humans that I have to feed and they want to sleep.
Like when the SAG actors went on strike because they wanted to use AI writers, and fuck no.
Oh, yeah.
No.
What if it blows up in their face, though? I mean, look, I don't see it this way. I honestly see it as a democratization of stuff that other people have that we don't have, that we'd never had.
But you don't own it. You don't own that AI, Graham, and it can't run on your computer. It has to run on a server.
Yeah,
you don't own AI.
I know.
You'll never own the software that runs AI.
But do I need to own the software to create stuff and for it to do things that I'm shit at? So, for instance, I'm great at writing a script, but fuck me, if I have to pitch it, in a written document to someone and say,
try this idea. You sit there and write a wonderful brief for your script. Yeah, you put a load of dialogue in there, you give it a name, it's got a unique proposition, it's a brilliant idea. I go in, type in the same title just after you into that same server with a few similar ideas because I picked them up in a conversation from you. Where's it going to get the data from for that script it gives me and the one it gives you?
Well, I'm not going to put my script in there, am I?
Well, you are. If it writes it for you, if you write any
no. I'm writing the cover letter.
AI engines.
The cover letter that never gets me through the door, And one thing someone said in the chat, AI will come up with better Star Wars 7 to 9. And I'm like, yeah, actually, it probably fucking would. Because you know what it'd take out of it? The fucking ego. So many of these, but once films get to a certain level, they all go shit after, at the sequels. Because it all becomes like, I've got to have me little nephew.
That's what the studio.
Oh, I like this character.
The studio doesn't want George Lucas involved because he causes problems. And he's got an ego and everything else. So it doesn't want the actors involved because they've got similar problems.
Between the four of us that are online right now,
there's 5 of us online.
There's
5 of us online.
5. Sorry,
this is like that TNG episode.
5.
How many lights can you see?
Yeah. The thing is, I've got my camera over the webcam and I can't see everyone.
Okay.
Right. So the amount of stuff that we've said online, AI can generate full conversations with all of us, and they can say what they like because we've said it in we've said words in the exact same cadence that's needed. The velocity, everything. It's all there.
It won't be right though. Do you know that episode of Black Mirror when she brings her boyfriend back from the dead and he comes back and he's a robot with all of the memories of all the stuff that he had put online, all the things he had said, all that online, and it was just uncanny valley.
Not right. It's just
because
not right.
There was no humanity to it. There was nothing he could do that would surprise her. Because it was all based on pre-existing IP.
Yes.
We said this about DFX and CGI 10 years ago,
Precisely. It is advancing. If it had no influence on human behavior whatsoever, if it was leaving alone images, if it was leaving alone the arts, and it was just providing tools to help people be more...
Naming stars.
I would not give a fuck about it. But the problem is, it is heavily like the people like Musk,
Right.
etc., like what Mike was referring to earlier. That was just like creating products. That's labor. This isn't like human, the essence of what it is to be human that it's duplicating, like this is like
It's
as
mocking
he
us.
was saying, yeah, it is taking like, and it is replicating something that is inherently human, and that is fucked up. We're not even progressed to the point where we can even make sense of the level of tech we have now mentally. So what the hell is going to happen when you can't tell? Like I saw a picture the other day, like a video of where it replicated Trump and Macron in this weird shower scene, and it was down to the pore where it looked like each of them. It was so realistic.
Did you believe it was real?
But only because I knew it was AI. I was told it was AI. Of course, I'm not going to think that I'm seeing Trump and Macron.
Okay, all right. So the problem is that we have millions of genuine images of the world. And there's people out there who believe the world's flat. People believe whatever the fuck they want to believe.
So Graham,
and
so
we
Graham,
give
let
them
me put
all
it
the
in, let me put
realistic
it in
stuff
more.
in the world and all the fake stuff, and they're going to chop and choose
So-
what they're going to believe out.
So what happens? So what happens when it's a cop's dash cam video that's AI
Yes.
altered, and then they show that the guy points a gun at the cop and then blasts him away, and then that hits the air before the other video.
Yes.
Now you know what I mean. That's like this. The benign stuff is the benign stuff, but when it comes to like what if that gets into court?
And it's dangerous, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's why I would like to have a digital
in front of
watermark on
judges,
anything that's made by
in front of
AI
judges
by
that
law.
still don't really understand how Facebook works,
Is
let
there
alone how
legislation?
AI
You've
works.
got to have used a program or an app or a website in order
How
to
do you
make
prove
that
it, though,
footage.
Gray?
How do you prove it?
But once I
Digital
export it,
fingerprints
just
will be all over it.
Hey, Graham, you're absolutely right. It's a strong argument that at the very least we should make sure that metadata, there's a trail on everything, and there are copyright
100%.
trails, and you can ask ChatGPT or Gemini or any of those things to tell it, show me your workings, and it will tell you what material it's trawled. So it's in there. That metadata is in there. We should make sure that it's available, and there's some way for us to actually.
Well, why can't those people be why can't those people be compensated since they know where they got other data from?
Absolutely.
Why haven't they gone back retroactively and compensated everybody for what they've stolen?
One day I'll get my PowerPoint out and show you my digital citizens plan.
PowerPoint out, and I will show you. The problem
I have an entire plan called the Digital Citizen, which is a way to solve these problems. But here's my point about what Tan is saying, right? That look at. You were talking today that you were struggling to get yourself into making a video, right? Can I do this? I can't be bothered. I'm doing this. Now I'm dancing, whatever, right? You know you need to get a video up on your channel. You know you need to get your Instagram or your TikTok feed fed today, because otherwise you don't earn anything. That's the way it works.
Instagram, it's just
Instagram. Look at it from their point of view, right? They sit there going, this Supertansky is really popular, but sometimes she doesn't make content at the time that people want to see it. So I'll create myself another Supertansky over here. And that will just be 24/7 churning out. And that's what Amazon do. And when, Graham, when you say it's a democratization, it's putting things in the hands of people that they've not had before. Well, that's Amazon shopping. I can put my prints on Amazon and they can take 35% of everything they sell. But if they look at them and they become popular, Amazon start their own branded version of them and start flogging them. And that's what they do to small businesses all over the world.
Yeah.
They steal their fucking ideas, they steal their market, and they're still there. That's going to happen in this sector.
Yeah.
They'll
So
look
I
at
agree
it and
with
they
you
go,
that there needs to be laws to put in to stop that from happening. My point is that I don't think we can put the genie back in the lamp on this.
Great.
Make them pay and it'll shut itself down. If they have to pay everybody that they skim from, it'll shut itself down.
They're not going to, though, are they?
Great. You've got to realise the technology is always going to be in front of the law every single time.
No one's going to make the laws because
they're in the pockets.
And there's you're assuming there's
are people calling for them to bring these laws in a loud and understandable way?
Great. You would be.
Yes.
Would be.
Let's do it.
What are you saying, Tan?
What I'm saying is,
they won't know.
If it was your content,
one at a time, guys, one at a time.
Great. If it was your content, you would be screaming from the fucking rooftops about getting this sorted. But the next person,
mate, I can't even tell you the content I've fucking made. I worked for the BBC for 1 year in some of the most dangerous countries in the world. I ended up spending the best part of 2 weeks in 2 separate fucking jail cells, one of which I didn't get any food when I was in the jail cell. The BBC took my show. They've shown it in 80 countries worldwide. It's been broadcast to over 3 billion people, and I've never got a fucking penny for it.
That's what I'm saying.
So when
mate.
people
That's
say,
what I'm
"Oh,
saying.
you should get money for a picture that you made, a meme that you made 9 years ago," you're living in cloud cuckoo land. It's not going to happen.
No,
That's what I'm
seriously,
saying.
Graham, let me tell you, the organization I worked for, PACT, when I was trying to lobby Facebook and Twitter to sort these problems out on their behalf, that they do sort those things out. And there is a backwards chase against corporations. BBC Worldwide, we were in and out of their offices constantly. And the only reason that creators get paid anything and do much better in this country than they do in America, than they do anywhere else in the world, the reason we have such a good media industry is we lobbied like fuck to make sure that creators actually had decent contracts and got paid for things.
What didn't I get?
Chasing up those things
pay for it?
because the fucking producer screwed you over. That's what
Yes.
happened, basically, and that's
On behalf
fine,
of the BBC.
What I'm saying is, if we don't even start trying to do this stuff, we might as well just hand it all over to them and say we never want to make a penny out of this.
Yeah, we might as
Because
well just be
producers do
drones.
make money. Somebody made money out of that program through BBC
Oh,
Worldwide,
yeah,
and it
sure,
can be
they
traced.
bought a house
And
out
if
of
we
it.
get a lawyer, we can go and find out how much money you're owed from that. Because I guarantee the contract is a standard BBC contract that says that you should have been paid.
I think you should. I think you really should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know full well that there's someone who's very close to me that's owed like £2.6 million for music that they produced, and it will cost them £2.6 million to get the £2.6 million.
That's
So
a lot
what I'm trying to differentiate here is what's practicable. What can we say to AI companies that have AI content that's coming out in the UK? What can we
Don't
do?
show you fucking rights.
And along with Mike, I'm saying a watermark on everything that's made by AI.
Start with that.
For standard. That's absolutely
See,
standard.
the problem we've got,
And then
like
a standard accessible international database of that metadata,
They
which
won't
and they're
do
all
it.
referenced.
you've got the likes.
Can I finish your point, Wayne, just for a
Sorry,
second?
sorry.
Because they're behest billionaires,
Yeah.
they're not going to implement it. This is the point. Like, they're at this point now, the billionaires have got everyone by the balls, and they're doing it quite openly. Musk has bought his way in to the US government. Now we're having to try and suck up to Trump and Elon Musk, and it requires an element of decency. And as I said, the genie's out of the bottle now. If we were going to do it, we were going to do it when Mike said it was, he was trying to do it. It's too late. We're fucked. Like,
Shut it down. I say.
I disagree on that. I don't think it's too late, and I think if we make enough of a fuss, but no one's making a fuss about it, I don't see any unions banging on the door at number 10 with a petition saying, "What the fuck?"
But
we need to
problem, right?
generate that, and we can't do that if we don't start talking about it and saying, "Okay, here's the problem.
Exactly.
What can we actually realistically do to solve it?"
And that's the thing. The PACT was the producers organized. It was basically the Association of Television and Cinema Producers, right? It represented the producers of content.
So you the guys who screwed me over, that you represented
and still
them.
does.
Oh,
Thanks.
No, not at all.
Nice new watch you got there, Mike.
Fairly certain they issued.
Wasn't
with
tact,
contracts
was it?
that
That
allowed
killed
us
it.
to
Firm he
screw
working
you
for
over.
you.
wasn't for the fucking talent.
No, and there isn't a trade union for talent, basically. The Actors Union, the Actors Guild, all those places don't actually go and argue for things. They do. They lobby people like PACT to make sure the producers pay them. There's a whole trade industry thing. Here's the thing about your democratized version that we're living in.
Mikey,
world,
should we
which
walk
is
away?
what
and
I
just,
was
let them
predicting.
talk about amongst themselves.
This is what I
Wayne,
was predicting 10, 15 years ago, which is that when YouTube happens, when all of these creators become their own producers and their own on-screen and their own editors, and they get rid of the infrastructure that we were currently operating under, where you went to ITV or Channel 4 or the BBC and they gave you money and you made something. When that world changes, who the fuck is going to represent all of those YouTube presenters when they all get screwed by YouTube? Because YouTube want to steal the advertising money from their creators. They're not fucking, they don't, you know how much you get for doing any of these things. You have to keep feeding that monster, feeding the algorithm, doing what they want. They are a platform like any broadcaster. They should be lobbied by government, but the only way to do that is is collective bargaining, which is get
Yes.
all the YouTubers together and get them to recognize that they own digital content and digital rights, and they'll withdraw it from platforms collectively if they don't get a terms of service agreement renewed every year with YouTube and all the other platforms one by one. It's a huge amount of work to do, and somebody needs to do it, but we have to do it. And then the other way that you sell this to everybody is that you also make the users realize that they are part of the product that everyone is selling, that Facebook and YouTube are selling their eyeballs to advertisers on a constant basis, and they should have some rights as to how that is sold to advertisers.
We need to go
They should be able to make some money from this.
We need to do this, because I got an email the other day that was chilling. It was from this AI group that was saying to me, we can create a version of you that for a certain fee, discuss with us the fee, that interacts with your kind of like community on your behalf on your platforms. So they're kind of creating a different me that will have like access to like my platforms and will interact. And it's like, what could go wrong? What could possibly go wrong if someone is mimicking you? And
Some next level bullshit.
they could say anything, and it's so inauthentic. And it's like, no, like, I mean, whilst I already feel like
and as Graham says,
agree.
Tan, and I think this is important, Graham is saying that there is a democratic tool that should be put in the hands of the creators. As long as you have the right to decide whether you want a clone out there and you make all the money out of that clone,
at this point I do.
That should be a right you have, but you should also have the right to stop anyone else ever being able to do that.
Exactly. And can I just say as well, look, first of all, Ernie Burns, let them eat fake. Thank you very much for the super chat, mate. And also, Russell Cannon, AI is the future. Let's make sure policy keeps up with innovation. Ethical, responsible AI can transform society for the better. Absolutely. Look, any new technology that's come along, the printing press for hundreds of years was blocks of movable type, and it took forever to make a new book. And in the 1880s, the lithotype machine was set up, and you could make copies of anything you wanted, make copies of Frankenstein or Jane Austen or whatever, and you could sell that book and give no money to the author or the author's estate. And so the authors at the time did exactly what Mike's talking about. They got together and said, fuck this, and they brought in copyright. They did the same with photography, the same with film, same with music. The people started making this stuff, and then people started copying it illegally. And then they went, how can we make sure that the creators get something out of this? And it's like a cycle. I mean, look, I don't believe it's too late to do something about AI now. Like, yes, we should have done it 2 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, Mike. But now it's Wayne on the phone.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you mute him, because I can't do it.
Okay, no worries. I'll do that.
No, you're absolutely right, and I think it will happen. Eventually, everyone will get to the point. And I think the interesting thing about this oligarchy takeover of the USA at the moment is that at least they're being blatant now. At least we can see what their plan is and what they want to do. Not in detail, but we totally know that they want power now, and they've obviously got some reason for wanting to do that. Yeah. And we're going to be able to persuade everybody. There was some research the other week that said that something like 40% of people under the age of 30 regret the amount of time they've wasted on social media. All right, my kids, absolutely, I see them using it a lot less than I do, dramatically less than I do. They're turning away from it to a great extent, and I think that next generation is going to get a grip on all of this at some point after the mess that we've all created for them, and they're going to get together.
Pass
and
the hopium, please.
Here's a shit.
Pass the hopium, please.
There's a real opportunity.
Russell Cannon has mentioned that
our kids aren't even going to get to go to fucking school. Like, okay,
is that because of the shutdown of the Department of Education?
Like, they're going to be dumb, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm hearing what y'all are saying, but like, this is not happening in a vacuum. You know what I mean? Like, this was an avenue for some people to like make better with their life, and they're being robbed of that too. Yeah. So.
On this note, I'm going to go because I'm tired and I'm crashing. So
fair enough. It is midnight, so we'll wrap up in a few moments.
It's only 7 o'clock.
Thanks, Tan. Thanks for coming on this evening.
Tan, it's always a pleasure to have you in this room. It
is always awesome. And we're going to get going.
Don't forget about me, Tan.
Your channel very, very soon.
Yeah, we will. We'll do some. I'm going to get into streaming. I'm going to be doing some. Well, I'm going to be a guest on the bin with Mikey, and
Oh yeah.
me, Graham, and Aid are talking about doing our own slot.
Fuck your bins.
Sloth or slunt?
Doing our own slunt night.
I got a new slunt cast coming up.
Yeah, followed by Twonkcast, which will. But no,
Slunts and twunts, they'll never get us.
a Sunday sermon service type thing where
Excellent.
I will do a roundup of the week in my own style before AI steals my identity. So
we'll make sure that doesn't do that. Let's start the movement now.
Looking forward to that.
So, but nah, once it gets to a certain point when the old what's it called? Whatever it is they've given me, what's it called?
Speed.
When the speed.
Methylproxazine.
Like you're there and then you get fucked off and then you go and you need to sleep. So
yeah, absolutely.
Helping me sleep though, like that's a bonus.
All right, well, you get your head down, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, Super Tansky.
Cheers, Tan.
Bye. Bye. We've got another.
All right, she's gone. Let's talk about her.
We've got a super chat from Russell again. I was going to mention this because you mentioned it before we put the super chat in. His original super chat, which talked about ethical, responsible AI can transform society for the better.
He didn't write that.
It had an emoji of a rocket and of a robot after it, which is how you know it was written by AI. Thank you very much, Russell. The last super chat from me was 100% Chat GPT. Yeah, Chat GPT loves throwing emojis in stuff. Especially on
Sorry, not to dig Mikey out again, but that was I had to take that phone call because that was the NHS calling me back about a complaint that I had earlier about
the NHS at this time of night.
Yeah.
What?
Okay. Cool.
Okay, you turn your video back on because we knocked your video off, Wayne.
I did a test today. If you ask Grok on Twitter, like at Grok, you send a message to at Grok and say, can you analyze my tweets and tell me what historical character I remind you of? All right. And the reason I did it is that there's a number of people in the States, influencers, that have asked that question, and it's come back saying, you remind me of Goebbels or Hitler, basically, and they're sort of right-wing influencers. So I ask it, and it says, you remind me of this French cartoonist who was locked up by the king or whatever. And I'm going, oh, that's pretty cool. And then I asked it to analyze Elon Musk's, and it came back saying, Elon Musk's tweets remind me of Benjamin Franklin. An amazing science and political mind expressing itself like this. You think Grok didn't fucking write that? Not by any stretch of the imagination. Musk has changed that algorithm because it must have come back saying he sounds like a Nazi. Basically.
Yes,
I'm finding Grok is quite woke in a number of places at the moment.
What is being woke?
Control of it. It comes back with answers that are basically saying, oh no, it looks like you're a Nazi, maybe you should think about yourself.
But this thing about, like, with AI, and we'll have to wrap up soon, but you know, this idea that people are going to be fooled by an image or a video or a bit of audio recording. There's real stuff out there, and it's put in front of Trump supporters, and the first thing they say is it's not real, it's fake. Like a lot of Trump supporters, at least a few that I've seen interviewed this week, have said the whole thing with Signalgate is made up. It's all a hoax perpetrated by the woke media.
Trump is calling it a witch hunt.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter if it's real.
But that's
or
hyper-normalization. That's hyper-normalization, isn't it? That's the plan. Is you make sure that nobody can believe anything anymore, and then it doesn't matter what you say or do or put out there, basically.
Yeah.
And that's which is why AI will be the thing that everybody goes to watch, because it will feed what they want to hear. The algorithm, it's a lot easier for the algorithm to make a Super Tansky that says what people want her to say than forcing Super Tansky to say those things. That's the point.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's cheaper than paying her to say those things.
Exactly.
Yeah. Persephone is saying AI won't replace talent or an old-fashioned arts. It'll just make it so everyone can create. It doesn't mean that everyone who has the talent or creativity to use it to its full potential. And that's completely true. I mean, I do think
I have a rebuttal.
Okay, go on.
Oh, hello.
How are you supposed to find good new creative music when the tech billionaires are pumping AI bullshit in your face 24/7? Eventually, you guys will stop listening to real music, just like you stop listening to bands that had instruments. You will walk away from it, and then you'll say, well, that's just the time. You will leave. And when we lose an entire generation of musicians, the music that comes back will never be the same. Luckily, we wrote everything down, but who knows if people will still be able to read and write music in the future. Like musical literacy is at an all-time low.
I agree.
Arguably,
I agree.
Arguably, that happened to us with Stock Aitken and Waterman in the 80s.
But Mikey, no, I think that's been going on for a long time. I think that predates the modern iteration of AI, which is not really artificial intelligence. It's just a very fancy predictive text thing. But
a theft tool.
Yeah, predictive theft. It predicts what to thieve next. But that sort of loss of real actual bands has been going on for a long time, and it's more to do with streaming music revenue than anything else. No one wants to pay.
Who do you think? Who's got the cash to make a music AI? You don't think it's iTunes and Spotify?
Yeah,
exactly. That's the thing. So you'll never hear my album when it comes out eventually because it'll be so far down all of these lists. You'll never see it. We'll never get in front of an audience again because now we have to fight 10 billion AI bots.
Yeah,
I think music died when there's no such thing as a B-side now.
So, I'd also like to say, sorry to come back to Mikey here. I think you're right. However, this is again something, and this is good that we're talking about this because it's coming up with ideas of like what can we do? You have to have it that AI generated music. It's banned from British radio. That's it. You're not allowed to play it on the radio in the same way that they banned the Sex Pistols and they banned this
regulation.
Regulation. No AI generating music on the radio. In France, they have a quota of songs that are played that have to be in the French language on the radio, or they don't get a radio license. Simple as that.
And in the UK, we have the power of the BBC. The fact that it's license fee paid is that you can go and negotiate with the BBC as one thing and say make a rule. But this comes back to again Tom Gray from Gonzo.
More people listen to Spotify than BBC.
But I was going to say exactly that.
But as a politician,
the radio anymore.
Tom Gray started his life and continues to live his life representing musicians, basically, and songwriters and their rights. And he is constantly knocking on the door of Spotify, trying to get a better and better deal constantly. But he started doing that with Napster because he could see what was going to happen to music. So you're quite right that, this has been going on for 20 or 30 years, this problem, because as technology comes up, people spot that there's going to be a problem for the music industry and they start shouting about it and try and do something about it. And that's where we need to get to here, which is, look, we can see a problem for the creative industries. Forget all the other things. I think there's some great things about AI. Don't get me wrong. I don't have any downer on it at all. I think people should be able to make money from it. I think whoever in the comments said it releases new artists, that's what photography did. If you think all the portrait painters would have been up in arms about photography and the landscape painters, but this is not
a new tool. It's just theft. It's just replicated theft over and over again. So I don't accept. So which is why I push back on the premise. It's not an acceleration of technology. It's just stealing.
It's a tricky one, man. Bro, they were saying the same about Napster.
Just hold on a second. It's just well, then if you went on Napster and you downloaded a bunch of other people's albums and then you burned them and then you sold them to people, we'd call you a thief. That's stolen. That's not your music. They're literally taking the data and blending it with everybody else's data and putting out shit, and people will buy it because it's the hottest thing. It's the number one on the thing. So let me give it a list. Let me give it that's what you're like. It's not a fair comparison. It's like just stealing. It's just
but in a way, we're all saying the same thing, because when Wayne said, the David Bowie story where somebody just changed it enough to make a court be able to judge it, that's kind of what they're robotizing. They're saying, oh, you like that? I'll write you a song a bit like that, and I won't have to pay any copyright on it, basically. And that's kind of what's happening.
Exactly.
And the point is, there's no creators or musicians involved in this anymore. You're just putting it in the hands of the people that used to put the money up to run a record company, or the people that used to put the money up to make a film company. They now run Facebook, Twitter, and whatever.
Has any AI got to number one in the pop charts yet? the Billboard Hot
Kylie Minogue.
100.
Ice Baby.
No, that wasn't AI.
Yeah, keep up with the
That was a
conversation,
rip-off.
please.
That was using samples.
No,
But
it
the-
was. It really was. It's the same analogy.
No, it's not.
No,
and
it's
you're,
not.
you're
It's
still
it's
bringing
not
it up,
quite
but
right.
it's not.
It's
It took
a
about
precursor, but it's
about
not.
past that
30 years
point
for
already.
De La Soul to be able to release one of their albums because it had so many samples in and they had to clear them all from copyright.
Oh,
before they could go on to
okay.
streaming. So no, just hang on a sec.
Milli
Wayne.
Vanilli.
Yeah, they were pretending to sing. It was the guy from Boney M. It was a German guy from Boney M.
We do
So?
keep going backwards here, basically, but does it really matter whether things are charting anymore either? That's not
Well,
really
no,
the way
what I was
that
going to say
the
is
streaming world works, is it?
not
It's,
just a rule
That's not
saying
the argument I'm making.
not just a rule saying that anything on the BBC or BBC Radio or whatever that has to be played has to be AI, but also there's the intrinsic thing of AI is there's no one behind it. And where you mentioned Milli Vanilli, right?
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
There's no human. There's no band to go and see. There's no singer to visit in a stadium. So my stepdaughter is obsessed with Taylor Swift, and it's not just Taylor Swift's music; it's everything Taylor Swift does. She's checking on her all the time. She's seeing pictures of her that she's put herself on Instagram to see what clues that leaves to the next album that's going to be released, or is she going to do a Taylor's version of whatever? And that whole thing, I dig into that as well because. From where I was coming from as a teenager, I loved seeing me bands live. I loved going and meeting these people who are singing these songs. And you can never have that with AI. It's always going to be that artificial background ambient sound to a low budget movie, I guess.
And when I was at the grocery store, I worked with teenagers for 15 years straight. Most of them have never been to a concert, and that was in 2 different states and 6 different cities. Everything streams. They sit on Spotify and then they wait for the playlist to come out and then they listen to what the playlist is. It's not the same. And it's Taylor Swift is Taylor Swift is an anomaly because she's fucking Taylor Swift. You know what I mean? Like if we're talking about album sales and then someone brings up Michael Jackson, it's like it's hard to compare because we haven't had another one like that. And Taylor Swift is a meteor. You know what I mean? Or she's a comet. She's so high above what everybody else can do.
That's a bad example. There's hundreds of bands and artists playing at Glastonbury this year. None of them are AI.
Yeah. But your point is well made. But the way the music business has been moving on is that the only way artists can actually make money is to tour pretty much constantly.
100%. Bums on seats.
And what that's doing and what Taylor Swift, etc., is doing is bumping up the ticket prices of that. So Mikey is quite right that teenagers can't afford to go and see any of these bands because the ticket prices are going through the roof because it's the only revenue that an artist can actually make these days.
I was in a band.
If you take out these demanding fucking artists who want paying and feeding and putting in hotels, the music business, and I'm not arguing for the creative point of view or anything else or the experience. I'm just saying the music business, the producers in that world are going to sit there and go, well, why do we do it? And somebody in the chat has just said one thing I'd want as well, which is that ABBA, look at Gorillaz, who tried to create a band where all you had to do was show animation on a big screen at Glastonbury, and it was the same as a live gig. Look at the ABBA experience, and look at all of these holographic experiences that people stand. But if Michael Jackson is still massively popular on Spotify, which he is, it is only a matter of time before the holographic Michael Jackson live gigs start, so that you can go and experience a dead.
But Mike, there's going to be
the same thing. I don't know.
There's going to be a backlash though, because
there's that.
Sorry, last year was the first year that I have not gone to see a Muse tour, right? And I'm like a proper dedicated, like I've got an entire sleeve of like Muse album artwork on my arm, all the way up.
Was it the price that put you off? Is that?
Yeah.
He'd spent all his money on tattoos. He didn't have any money left for the gig.
£270 for a floor standing ticket at the O2.
That's the way the business is going, is that they're trying to recoup the money that they don't make out of streaming, etc. They have to charge that much money. No, but they're not a fucking socialist charity, are they? They've got to make money. They've got to pay all those technicians and everybody else and pay for the stadium. So if you can start, if you're a businessman, and it's the music business, I always say this, there's the art business, the music business, the film business. We always forget the business bit of this, that it takes a lot of money to make these things. And somebody has to put that money up. It does for the big stuff, and that's the way the business works. I'm not saying
No,
it's
it
good.
doesn't.
I'm saying
It
it's
costs
what
them
happens.
15 grand to rent the arena and another 15 grand, and then they make that 30 grand back with labor and everything else in the first
Welcome,
100 seats. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not
welcome to
Cry me a
capitalism. I agree.
river,
But
you know.
they're trying to make a profit, and if you take as many humans out of the system as you can, you make more profit. That's the way it works.
But bruv, when it comes to like, you are trying to produce music for your fans, like, I'd much rather like
Our
see
record
'em-
companies doing that. Do they give a shit? They don't give a shit about
Yeah,
that.
but
They just want
but
an
again,
audience.
the
So,
evolution of the
There's
business.
a few things here which I just think is like, part of the course. Look, it used to be that you used to go on tour to sell your albums. Now, you not make any money out of albums. Mike's right.
No.
But then you've got other things. Look, sample music has been around since all the time I've been alive. And then in the 90s, you had dance DJs who were just stealing other people's music and fobbing it off as their own and making shitloads of money out of it and snorting it all up their nose. And like that, this isn't nothing. I just don't feel like it's anything new. I feel like artists have been screwed over. Pundits have been. Punters have been
here's
screwed
hold
over
on.
in the
Let
past.
me in here. So here's the difference. You can do 10 times the damage that one of those guys could do by yourself on a laptop. It is the desecration of the industry.
Yep.
Once it starts, there is no going back. There is no, well, I want to go see a live show. They won't even think about live shows anymore because it's either $1,000 or it's like Battle of the Bands. When's the last time you went to a battle of, like, we don't even have those anymore.
You don't have bands. That's why.
All of the venues have closed up because they can't get people to come in there because they couldn't keep the doors open because it's not a super profitable thing, but because the culture sustained it. The Chicago rock metal show industry is dead. Like, we have to drive to the city to have our, like, a local band show. You have to go downtown. You have to go somewhere where the people are. Like, it's like the industry has almost completely dried up. The last bastion of humanness to the entire music industry, they're offering to billionaires so that they can make, like, I am never going to stop dying on this hill. They don't deserve it. They don't get it. They don't get to have it. It's ours. It's not theirs. It's not even up for sharing. I'm not sharing a portion. Get your fucking robots out of our human speak. You shouldn't be there.
We have one live music venue. One.
Where? In Basildon.
One. Castlemaine. That's and that's a covers band.
When you guys come down during the festival, I'll have to apologise for the fact we've got dozens and dozens around here. I was
going to say Liverpool. You can't.
Very lovely bubble.
I'm bringing Scott.
You can't throw a stone in Liverpool without a live band.
Yeah. Yeah.
There
will be an underground, and the thing is, I think we're all probably agreeing it's just from different perspectives. But the point is, Mikey, this is a 50, 60-year process that's been going on. George Orwell wrote about automatic machines that would create music for the masses. He predicted this in 1984. So we got to that point. We're at that point now. And telescreens was the important thing in 1984 about that, where you could get rid of the personal appearances of politicians and singers,
But you're talking about it like it's making something. You're acting like the machine is making something on its own.
I'm not. I'm telling you.
You just said
what the world
it's just
is.
like the Orwell quote.
I'm not arguing in favor of it, Mikey. I'm
I
not arguing in favor of any of it.
I'm saying that you're frame.
Don't talk at once, Mikey.
I don't need you to referee me here, Wayne. I'm good.
But I don't need you to accuse me of saying this is a good thing.
You literally just said it's the music machines. Okay.
Yeah, it's the reality that we're living in. Didn't you just describe machines that steal music and play it to people and it gets popular? Isn't that what Orwell wrote about? There's a very important difference. There's a difference between a machine that makes music than a machine that steals music. I'm talking about the machine that steals music because that's what these in reality are. They don't have Napster.
any creative.
Get over it. That's Napster. The AI is actually writing
I disagree.
Different songs.
Has any AI band made it? Has any AI singer been number one in the charts? Is it because I've not heard of it? I mean, there might be. Did anyone know?
I know nothing about the charts, and I'm not even sure they're relevant these days, basically. But let's go check Spotify and see what's popular.
That's because you're old and you have something in your bum.
I'm literally talking about the
Cheers,
business
Wayne.
side of this and why the business works that way. And I agree with all of you. I think there will be a demand for live bands, just like there is a demand for oil paintings nowadays.
Demand for
the same
vinyl
thing.
records. I just don't think that AI is
Exactly.
going to make
Exactly.
a banging pop tune. Well, it might make one, but it's not going to make like a whole album and then have a thing where people are going to go and see this
So if you
AI
want-
live and it's a robot comes out on stage.
So
if
between the
people want
four of us
music-
right now, right, there is nothing better than us arms around each other, jumping the fuck out of like a chorus to a
Yes,
song.
music's good.
Like
Yes,
that. Do you
we
know what I
like
mean?
music.
Just having it. Just
Okay.
having it.
All right. Thanks, Wayne.
I
My
agree.
point is that like AI, I don't think stealing people's music, right? This is something that has
bad
gone
thing.
on for a very, very long time. And it's nothing new. I just don't think we're going to see.
My point is, Graham, is we need to be doing something about AI, like we needed to do something about Napster, like
Yes.
we needed to do something about radio stations that played music for free for years until the.
So
old
I
days.
absolutely
Caroline,
agree
you
with
need to pay us.
Mikey that it is stealing, it is theft, and I agree with you, Mike, that we need regulation to say this is AI. This is AI generated and have stuff in place to protect artists against this fake artificial.
And the way it works
bullshit.
in books and the way it works in music and the way it's going to start working with video content, because they all follow each other with bandwidth, is that there will be a pool of profits put into a pot and that will be shared out amongst registered authors, writers and creators. That's the only way that we're going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
And the metadata thing is a really important thing that we need to get. You're quite right. We need to know where AI is stealing this music from so that people can be paid for it at some point in time. Then you need to regulate to make people pay for it.
Mike, there is absolutely nothing to stop me taking all of your Trumpton artwork right now
Yeah, no, there isn't.
and scribbling my name on it and saying, yeah, produced by
People do
the
it. People do it.
Waymaker.
People
do it
Right.
all the time. George Galloway did it to me at one point.
No, but I could do that. And then, like, what have you got to sort of like come back
Well,
at me?
copyright allows me to sue you if I want
Where?
to. It's an expensive
Where?
process. It's an expensive process. It's not worth my while, but I could.
No, but if I wanted to, if I had the capital, I could just say
All I
"No,
have to
that's
do
my
for
one."
copyright, the way the copyright law works is all I have to do is prove that I created it before you did.
Yeah, but then I could just
And
get-
the way that works in the industry is there is a register for that. There is a register for television programs, there's a register for music, and there's a register for books. That's
There you
what an
go.
ISBN
There you
number
go.
is.
There you go.
And if you have
Okay,
that
so
central
maybe-
register, that database that Graham is talking about, and nobody has built that fucking database, and nobody is regulated.
That's what I'm
anywhere
saying,
in
mate.
any
That's what I'm
country.
saying.
So I think I might have
Do it.
found the hair that split.
Go
You
ahead.
know that any forward-facing data, they have the courts have ruled that they can scrape. So if anybody just like because Trumpton's in your background, they can have that. That's
Yeah.
what they're claiming and that's what they're doing. It's not like, okay, I bought these albums and now I get to make my own amalgamation of them. They're just anything that's in front of any screen anytime ever. They're saying I have a right to feed
Because
that
we
into my
haven't-
AI.
Yeah, because we haven't written any laws to deal with this, because we don't have a central registration system of any sort, basically, to deal with social media and to deal with the internet from that point of view. We've never done it with the internet either, because it all felt like too big a problem and all these businesses were growing. The government wanted these businesses to grow. We all wanted to build our own Google and nobody did except America, basically. So
Yeah.
the fact is, if we don't try to do something about it, nothing will happen, guaranteed.
No, but
That's-
what
that's
I'm
the
saying,
simple
what
fact.
I'm saying,
It's called
Mike,
shut it the fuck down.
Mike,
Yeah,
what I'm
but
saying
that's
is,
not-
like,
As
Mike,
we all
what I'm saying
said,
is,
the cat is out of the bag.
Stop talking over each
But
other.
you expect them to regulate themselves. I think shutting them down
No, I
and
don't.
banning them is
No,
a
no,
much
no, no, no,
easier
not
option.
regulate themselves. Oh God, no, no, Mikey,
No, the government
absolutely not.
regulates.
100%. No, government
Okay.
needs to regulate them. Don't let them all
Yeah,
regulate
absolutely.
themselves. Jesus, we've had enough of that problem with the
Politicians can
water
be-
companies in this country.
Politicians, as you guys all know very well at this point, can be bought. Sometimes it's only 270 million, and then everything is yours. I don't want them to have the choice to regulate.
But how do you shut it
Shut
down
it
without
down.
politicians?
Well, how do you
or a bomb?
regulate then?
You know,
Ban
I
it.
mean, I don't understand how you do it.
That's what
unless
cyber-
you start lobbying at some
Mike,
point in time. basically.
let me use Mikey Famine as an example. Right, he's on my screen right now. I could screenshot him right now, and I could digitally sign that as an image of Mikey and sell it.
Arguably, you have created a piece of digital art there because it's public domain. What we're doing at the moment.
Well, we've had a
YouTube
rule.
is not a broadcaster, so they don't claim to own this.
Yeah,
content.
but
We've had a rule for over 100 years that if you take a picture of someone, you own the picture, even if they didn't want you to take a picture of them. And there's been people who have been sued, like celebrities, for using a picture that someone's taken of them without their permission, and they've reused it on Instagram, and they've been sued by the person who took the picture.
I could fart
When you-
on my
However,
phone.
this doesn't. Let
when
me
you
finish,
guys
let me
guys
finish.
come to
However,
Brighton,
this
if you take a
same
picture of the pier, they can sue you.
Yes.
Because they have a local law that says that they own the copyright in that image.
Exactly.
Yes. So when I could take
doing
this
particular
Wayne,
screenshot
hang on, Wayne.
Sorry.
When I was doing a scouting job in Liverpool for Under Armour, they wanted to take a picture of a Liverpool footballer, a famous one, outside Anfield, and they couldn't because the actual stadium is copyright. Well, not copyright, but it's owned by a different sponsor. So that
the footballer,
and
his shirt,
But yeah, when I was talking about sorry, what were we talking about? We were talking about AI. Sorry, I'll let Wayne talk because I've lost my thread now.
No, but your point is well made, which is that the football industry has done a very good job on image rights, right? I'm not saying it's a good
still
thing.
live, by the way?
I'm saying that their lawyers did a very good job, right? Which is that they lobbied that the footballers and the football clubs would own the rights in the images, and then the Footballers Association, the Players Association, lobbied the league to say, well, hang on, if you're selling our pictures and making money out of that, we want a cut of that. So our image rights are something we now negotiate in our football contract. That's one of the major parts of a football contract. YouTubers are clicking a button that says, all right, I'm going to launch my channel and I agree to all these terms and conditions. And they don't read the terms and conditions that Google say, you got no fucking rights, basically.
You were talking about Under Armour. I rewound it.
Sorry, no, I was just going to say about photography. Annoyingly, because cameras used to cost thousands of dollars for a single camera, film cameras. And then once video cameras came out and in the 80s and people could film stuff at home, those images, because they were going at 25 frames a second or 30 frames a second, they're not counted as photographs and you don't have the same protections. And so you had a system which was mad to me where you could have a video that was made for a band, U2, right? And it's played on MTV all over the world 1 million times. And every time it's played, the musicians get some money, the publishing company gets some money. One of the session musicians who turned up at the end and just went ting on a triangle at the very end of the song gets a cut every time it's played. The director of that video gets nothing. They get the 500 quid they were paid for making the video, and that's all they get forever. There were no royalties in it at all.
Because their rights were brought out and they've never collectively bargained to get a deal.
But that was
that's all I'm saying is that it's classic unionization, even if it's commercial. And you only way we could do anything with these megalithic companies is to collectively bargain with them.
Yes.
And that goes for users and creators, basically. If there's some form of situation where we can all get together and say, this far and no further, you can't do that with our data. And if you have a government backing that, any government.
So I want to take this back to Mikey, because he was
saying
that
isn't that the cart before the horse? Because it's like you're wanting to put the regulations on the AI after they've already pilfered. No, this
already started. That's already started.
I hear what you're saying. I've heard what you guys said, but I'm saying something different. So since they
gentlemen, I've got to jog on. I've got to go.
All right, see you later, Wayne. Night.
Bye.
Since they're already mid-robbery, I don't think this is the time to be like, okay, they get to keep this much of the stuff that they stolen from the bank. Like, no,
the argument
you
is
don't get anything. It gets shut down until all of the prerequisite steps are set up, and then they can start making their AI content.
I agree, Mikey, but we've got to establish...
Just because they jumped out of the blocks too early and too soon and people didn't want to regulate them, it doesn't mean that there shouldn't retroactively be something put in place, and it doesn't mean that they shouldn't be shut down right now to reduce the amount of harm. Like, I'm not going to let them keep filling up the money bag.
Yeah, I'm probably just being more of a pragmatist than you, basically, because it's going to be as hard to lobby government to shut these things down as it is to argue that there should be a better business case for everybody in this situation. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. At the moment in the UK, we're talking about, we have a 3% tax on Facebook and Twitter and everything else. And Peter Kyle is talking about getting rid of that tax. So they'll be doing all of this shit tax-free in this country at this moment. Now, to me, we've got a bargaining chip with them about that tax. We could take that tax away from them if we actually come up with some regulations that force them to look at our culture, look at our creative industries, et cetera, and put some of that money back. The work we did with television and cinema was all about forcing people to put money back into the creative community so that people could build businesses and afford to make television programs constantly, basically, instead of just doing it work for hire, like the video directors you were talking about.
Yeah.
You know, it's about contracts and rights, and you can make them retrospective, but you've also got to negotiate with these companies to get a deal that means that it works for everybody else. I agree with you, Mikey, shut them down. But the only way you do that without lobbying, negotiation and lawyers and politicians and governments and laws is to go and nuke them. And as much as that's joyous, I don't know which server farms you take out first.
And I get that things are derivative. Music is derivative. The Beatles, I don't think they paid any money to Chuck Berry when they were covering his songs in a cellar in Hamburg in 1962. You know, I just feel like that this is something that I don't think is going to get back into we're not going to be able to put the genie back in the bowl. It's just not going to happen. No. But
the law,
I just want to ask
that
Mikey,
did cover the Beatles, though, Graham, really quickly, is the PRS laws, basically, which is that every venue that plays music pays a license fee for that, and that money goes into a pot, and that is shared out amongst all creators that are registered.
Mikey, just going back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier, where you said about regulation. Who else can regulate the industry apart from government? Like, how are we supposed to get regulated? Because I'm not going to trust them to self-regulate. So, what's your thinking on that?
In my whole shut them all down campaign, get the cybersecurity people involved. Like, these servers need to be disbanded. It is full of stolen materials. So if somebody had like a pawn shop that was completely filled to the brim with stuff and none of the stuff was gained by legal means, then they would shut the place down. It is the same thing. And just because it's like teeny tiny things, or it's just some music from a nobody creator or some, it doesn't matter, because the principle of this is larger probably than the financial ramifications to the music industry. You are telling them, take whatever you want and then just cut out whoever you took it from, and you keep everything. Like, it's Amazon on crack. You know what I mean? It is because it can be multiple. It's not a physical building anymore. That's why I'm so gung ho about this, because because the billionaires are the only ones who can afford these servers and these cold towers, you know, to keep all the chips from overheating and all that shit. They're the only ones that can afford to do this. And if we're not, they're not getting taxed. Nothing bad's happening. And so this is just yet another thing, our last human thing that they are trying to stick their hands completely in and snatch.
Yeah. And
so
one of the ways it worked when PACT was formed, when the television and cinema trade body was formed, was that the big players, the big cinema companies and the big television producers funded all of the work that organization did and the deal was that we will go and negotiate with the BBC and Channel 4 and all these broadcasters and cinema companies and distributors on your behalf for what you want, big guys, basically. But we've also got this set of demands for the small guys that we want to go and negotiate. So you could be a member for like 300 quid, or you could be a member for £40,000 or whatever it was. And you got certain rights for all of that. And in this case, Taylor Swift needs to join the gang and say, hey, we want these rights. That's what Tom Gray is trying to achieve in the music business at the moment, is to get the big guys to negotiate with the Spotifys of the world and threaten to pull their content. And that's the biggest problem with any trade organization, is that, you know, they're not.
So there you
going
go.
on strike. Going on strike is the hardest thing to get.
That's the perfect, and they're all making money. And there's the perfect example. Go ahead and pull your content. I'll put up James Deanley and everyone can listen to his stuff. That's the problem. But the
balance is that you have to find a way to make it work where the big guys get what they want and they'll stand by you when you threaten to pull away from them. And it's happened. This is what happened with the Writers Guild when they threatened to, when they just pulled out and went on strike and nothing got made. And that made Hollywood come back to the table and negotiate decent rights on AI.
Because it's not just the the fact that the artists are making not as much money from streaming as they used to make for physical media. I mean, the record companies aren't making as much. Spotify is. Spotify is raking it in, but like the actual record
memberships,
and how a lot of them are making money is, again, we go back to live music, and people are saying in the chat just how much the tickets for stuff have just gone up in price in the last few years has been astronomical. I've got tickets from bands, in the 90s, like the Foo Fighters. I've got a £7.50 ticket for the Foo Fighters. £7.50. Not £750, £7.50.
You've only got to look at the podcast industry and the way that has rapidly turned into a small model of the music industry, in that the only way they really make serious money to pay the wages of the people working on these big podcasts is to do big live events at the O2 charging 50 quid a ticket.
Yeah.
Because the physicality of actually seeing those people becomes the premium that you're paying for. And this is, where you're saying, will people go and see an AI robot sing a song? Probably not. But, if Taylor Swift creates an AI channel that produces all of her music for her while she makes billions and then does one concert every 4 years and charges £1,000 a ticket, it's the Barbara Streisand model of music, basically.
But I mean,
every 5 years.
But I mean, we're way up at the top, and we're only thinking about the top people again. But again, for people who, let's say they have 50,000 subs on YouTube or something, like they're like a local touring band. This decimates them when the AI gets a hold of your sound and starts making your stuff. I forgot the guy's name now, but I'll find it. God, it's right on the tip of my tongue too. I'll think of it probably in the middle of the sentence. But he tested this, and he made a video, put it out, had an AI watch the video, and then duplicate it, and his original video got a copyright strike.
Right. Okay.
So what happens when you start making music that sounds too much like you, and you can't make money off of your music unless you go fight with 10,000 bots that are all claiming your shit as theirs?
Again, Mikey, I've already had that. I've had videos demonetized and taken off. I had copyright strikes made against me because news reports about my travels have used my footage. TED Talks that I gave, in which I used my footage of my travels. Now, suddenly, a video that I had uploaded, a couple of years before TED, uploaded their video. Apparently, I've stolen some content from a TED Talk, and it's a TED Talk that I gave. And I mean, this is something that we need regulations in place for, and it's great that we're having this conversation because we're sort of identifying the things that we need to watch out for. I don't mean this in a disrespectful way. I just don't think that going into the server room with an axe, I don't think it's ever going to happen, unfortunately. I'd love it to. It'll be really fun.
It's a nice movie.
But when it comes to robbing stuff, we had the same sort of argument back in the early 80s with synthesizers. People synthesizing the sound of violins on a keyboard, on an electronic keyboard. And the violinists were saying, well, no one's going to want to listen to classical music anymore. No one's going to make any classical music.
The musicians union, sessions musicians. And this is kind of the point. The people that are doing the copyright shutdowns on YouTube at the moment are big companies with lawyers and bots that are running around looking for infringements of their copyright. It's Paramount and everybody else running around trying to catch you. The point is, I'm trying to make is just we need to find a way to get the big guys to help the small guys. It's a Robin Hood system. Yeah. You need something that benefits Paramount, but it also benefits the guy with 30,000 followers, basically.
I don't feed my enemies.
Yeah, but the big guys are not your enemies. They're just
I'm ready. This is a war. I'm ready to fight. I'm at war and I'm ready to fight. Fuck them. I might put my shit out on fucking cassette tape, so that it could never go up online. Because like I'm
record it and put it online.
You just missed the entire 2-hour conversation about how as soon as you put it online, they can jack your shit, and it's theirs now too. It's our song now.
You can put it on a record, you can put it on a wax cylinder, it doesn't matter. Someone can put it on a computer, just put a microphone next to it, put it on the computer.
And I'm also putting a camera inside each cassette. It's gonna be each cassette is $200 for no reason.
We're gonna wrap up in a minute.
Self-destructing cassette as well.
Damn right, I got a little.
We've been going for 3 hours, and I have to go to bed at some point. Just to go back to sort of, putting things out on cassettes, putting stuff out on, the physical media, it's great. And I love the fact that the records are selling again, vinyl records outsold any other physical form of music media last year, and that's great. You know, super. People want that tangible asset that they can actually hold in their hands, which you can't do with Spotify. And I think everyone's making really good points, and I think that the whole my thing is there's a certain humanity in a real band, and just because I'm an arty git, I've never liked electronic music. I've never liked it. I've never been to a rave. I didn't go to clubs that played the doof 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 music because it just sounded like a computer had made it. And now we've got that actual music and it's being played, created by bots, by AI. I like a proper band. I like a real life band that I can go and see live, and there's people playing guitars, and there's a front man or front woman with a 1,000-yard stare and everything. That for me is half of the magic.
And that just will not disappear.
And
won't
that's
disappear, as long as there's a business model that can support it. That's
and I think there's got to be a pushback if this. I mean, look. Aid's got a song on his that he plays on his show, like about his dad's balls, right? And it's AI generated, and it's schlocky shite. It's just music. Do you know what I mean? It's the stuff that you'll hear in an elevator going up and down. And I think there's a lot of scope for AI doing little incidental bits of music in a YouTube.
Do you think it all sounds like that? Is that the thing? Because I'm telling you, dude, you cannot tell. Like if you look up some genuine AI music, you cannot tell. And because you have like certain proclivities, like you like certain types of music in the EDM field, this is very important that people are jacking, what is essentially your math formula. Like that's what that all turns into. It's like, this is my formula and it sounds like this when I do that. And then all of these other things start percolating and happening. So when people just start jacking that, and then it's like, well, why do I even make music?
Right, I'll go with that. So
then it's like, well, why do I even make music anymore?
Well, that informs what I was thinking, Mikey, because I was just thinking it's never going to sound like a band. It's never going to be a band. And
there's more than just band music.
But you're talking about EDM, which is fair enough. And I'm not having a pop at people who like it.
Or
it's
even
just
classical.
Not my genre.
Or even classical. If I spend 6 months writing this beautiful piece, and then, 6 hours later, there's 1,000 copies of it that are like slightly shredded. Like,
totally agree.
That's not okay. Yeah. And it's scale, and it's the scale in which that they're able to do this. That is really the problem.
Mikey, how would you feel if like what Mike proposes that you have to be able to see the metadata, and if that reshredded version of your track goes to number 1 and sells 1 million copies, you have to get the royalties for that, even though that wasn't, your final tune. You get to do a Rolling Stones to the Verve thing where they went, oh, you used our strings, we'll have all the money from Unfinished. What was it called? Not Unfinished Symphony.
Yeah.
What was the song they? Bittersweet Symphony.
Bittersweet Symphony.
I'm
going to need to go because I've got a phone call coming. But I just wanted to say that Russell Cannon in the chat. Oh, well, it's because my very good friend is in Islamabad at the moment, about to get on an aeroplane. So,
cool.
The Russell Cannon says, "How much will it cost to subscribe to the Bin podcast on a VHS tape?" And I think that's probably your way forward.
Let me run the numbers, and I'll get back to you. Because
it will be a self-destructing tape, Russell, though. So be careful, because if you don't keep paying the subscription, it blows up and destroys your VHS player.
It's a funny quirk in the tape process.
The great
system. It just does that.
I like it.
Anyway,
I just want to say, like, for my stream and for over here, I'm not especially angry thing about this. It's just I am super passionate about the high arts and the thing and the ways that we communicate to each other, and the way that someone can pick up a violin and instantly make you sad.
Yeah.
That is us. That is us talking to each other. That's that unspoken language. Whether you're in New Delhi or you're in New York, people vibe with music. Like it is how we communicate, and it's kind of what separates us. I will not go quietly into the night. I will not cede a single brick. I will fight for this. This is the last fucking thing we have. Everything else has been taken from us, but you're goddamn not taking my guitar strings. So there you go.
I agree. We're on the same team on that one, mate.
Absolutely. All right. I think we're going to have to wind it up there, aren't we? Because Mike, you've got a Islamabad phone call to make, and
I gotta feed a little terrorist.
But yeah, and look, great discussion this evening. Thank you to everyone who watched. Thank you for all the super chats. It's really kind of you. Thanks to everyone who joined in with the chat as well. Sorry we didn't get to read out everyone's message. Packer Bell, Canon in D major, is possibly turning in his grave at the moment, going, everyone's been ripping me off for centuries, but that's another story. I'll be back on Sunday with the old Sunday service, so I'll hopefully see you then at 9:00. And until then, I'll say goodnight to my co-hosts, Mikey and Mike. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye. Bye.